dropping straight back in the pocket. Rifles a pass. It was tipped. It's picked off by Foreman. He's at the 15, 10, 5. He'll score!
Look to the left, and he kind of telegraphed it all the way. When the ball was tipped, Foreman's in the right spot.
The Jay Foreman Postgame Show is brought to you by Anderson Ford and Vinny Kreekak of State Farm Insurance.
Here's Valenti dropping back, fires a pass, and it's intercepted by the Huskers at the 25, Jay Foreman. And Foreman takes it down to the 19-yard line of Oklahoma. Another big play by the Black Shirts.
Here are your hosts, Jay Foreman and Nick Sainert.
Welcome in, Nebraska football 3-0 for the second consecutive year. That is right, a 59-7 victory over the Houston Christian Huskies. A dominant performance from start to finish, just like we had all hoped for going into the matchup. Once again, Nebraska wins 59-7 against Houston Christian. This is the Jay Foreman Postgame Show, 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. I am Nick Sainert. Austin Orman joining me in just a moment. Jay Foreman as well, with it being Husker Hall of Fame induction weekend. Jay Foreman had a couple of duties to tend to a little bit later in the stages of the game, and he's walking over now. He just shot me a text, so he will be here within a few minutes here. As always, for you guys, 402-464-5685, the Honda of Lincoln hotline, and the Starter Heyman text line are open for you guys the entire show today. Jay and I will be here until about 4 o'clock or so, and then Austin Orman and Rudy Grays will take you through an additional hour and a half or so as we continue to break down all things Huskers and their 59-7 victory over the Houston Christian Huskies. Nebraska 3-0 for the second consecutive year. They started off 3-0 last season in year 2 of Matt Rule. And how about this statistic, this little nugget for you Husker fans? Nebraska, as I mentioned, 3-0 for the second consecutive year. These last 2 years were the first time that Nebraska's been 3-0 since 2016. So personally, I don't care who you beat. I don't care who you had to go through. The schedule's the schedule. Nebraska had to beat who was on that schedule, and they did so successfully in the form of Cincinnati, Akron, and Houston Christian. Now, obviously, we have a lot to get into throughout today's game, throughout last week's game as well, and then looking ahead to Michigan, because now it's not against the rules to look ahead to next week and the matchup against the Michigan Wolverines. Once again, 402-464-5685, the Honda of Lincoln hotline, and the Starter Heyman text line are open for you guys the entire show today. Want to hear your guys' thoughts on Nebraska's 59-7 win over the Houston Christian Huskies, what you want to see next week, what you wanted to see maybe a little bit more earlier today. We had a couple of texts, and we appreciate you guys reaching out during the Husker football game. We do monitor the text line to a certain extent during the Nebraska football game, so we can kind of have an idea of what you guys are feeling throughout the game. And what I will say is there were a lot of texts in the early stages of the game talking about how Nebraska needed to run the ball a little bit more. We had a couple of people that said, run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. This is Houston Christian. You should be able to develop a ground game. Nebraska did. They had 38 carries, 192 yards, 4 rushing touchdowns when it was all said and done as a team. And they averaged a little over 5 yards per carry. There was a moment in the early stages of the second quarter where Nebraska was averaging over 9.7 yards per play as a team. Certainly nothing to sneeze at there. And so we have so much to get into. Dylan Raiola with another, I say this in a very positive tone, serviceable game. He didn't do anything spectacular, didn't need to do anything spectacular for the third consecutive game. So much to talk about throughout the next hour and a half or so. Once again, we are live. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Allo Cable Channel 961. With all that being said, let's bring in my co-host for the first couple of minutes until the Husker Hall of Famer Jay Foreman walks over from the stadium. It's Austin Orman. Austin, good afternoon, my friend. What's your initial thoughts on Nebraska's 59-7 victory to improve to 3-0 for the second consecutive season?
Man, back-to-back weeks that Nebraska shows out in dominating fashion. Not exactly the same game. Last week's game against Akron felt a little bit more like a varsity game. Maybe it's because Akron did put up a little bit of resistance. Of course, the Emmett Johnson fumble inside the 5 and Nebraska getting stonewalled within the 5 the next drive as well. This pretty much from the jump felt like a JV scrimmage. in a lot of ways. It felt like ones versus twos. It felt like scout team where, Nebraska was never seriously threatened. Akron at least moved the ball a little bit early on, at least to my recollection. Not much, granted. Houston Christian found a little bit of rhythm with the short, quick passing game. And then in the second half, running the ball against Nebraska's twos, but mostly with the threes. But despite the margin not being as impressive as last week, I felt like this game had even a smaller feel than last week's did, coming against an FCS program who, you could tell Akron was outmatched from the jump. This was just a whole nother level of that.
You're absolutely right. Nebraska outgains Houston Christian in total yardage, 554 to 160. Through the passing game, dominated 362 passing yards in comparison to 67 for them. Rushing yards, 192 rushing yards for the Huskers, 93 yards on the ground for the Huskies of Houston Christian. That is one area that I'll be interested to ask Jay about when he gets here and momentarily, is the rush defense. Because despite playing Akron and Houston Christian, and I understand maybe there were some reserves in later in the ball game, early in the second half, and you take that with a grain of salt, but Nebraska's rush defense didn't stand out to me as a positive light this weekend again. And so I'll be interested to ask Jay his thoughts on that when he gets here. He just walked in the door to our station at 1040 O Street. And so I think through and through, Austin, before you get out of here, overall thoughts on Dylan Raiola and how you felt like he did.
Yeah, no, he looks the part. He looks calm. He looks cool. He looks composed. Even in a game like this against this competition, you can see some NFL qualities in that arm, especially the throws across the field. Deep ball to Dane Key could have been a little bit better, could have had a touchdown. But other than that, hard to pick any nits with Dylan Raiola's performance.
You're absolutely right. Once again, that's Austin Norman. Appreciate Austin. You can hear Austin a little bit more after Jay and I clean things up and wrap up around 4 o'clock or so. Austin and Rudy will go for an additional hour and a half here on 93.7 The Ticket. Nebraska wins it 59-7. Once again, Nebraska improves to 3-0. They stay undefeated going into the big test that we're all obviously waiting and looking forward to in the test against the Michigan Wolverines, who handled Central Michigan comfortably at home in the Big House earlier today. And without further ado, let's bring in the Husker Hall of Famer on Hall of Fame induction weekend. It's Jay Foreman. Jay, initial thoughts on Nebraska 59-7 victory?
You did what you needed to do. You came out and dominated against an inferior team. And so that's, really what, everything that we talked about in the pregame show. And I'm sure everybody else in their different segments talked about it. You wanted a, relatively clean game for the most part, and understand that some of that cleanness will go away based on a really inferior opponent. But you want to be dominant, right? You want to be able to run and pass the ball and do what you want to do offensively and defensively. It was good to see a defensive touchdown and play well at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And so you want to use these games sometimes as, like you said, is you want to work on some stuff. And so, that's where you saw maybe in the first drive, try to work on your red zone offense, trying to, maybe put a little nugget in the, the head of Wink Martindale to prepare for, obviously next week. And so it's gamesmanship. It's obviously domination. And then obviously most important, you want to come out unscathed and be healthy.
Yeah, there's a couple of things that you said there. I really noticed that, if I listened to Matt Rule on the Pat McAfee show earlier this week on his little weekly segment that he does with McAfee. And one thing that he said was that one area that Nebraska needed improvement or really hadn't been able to work on was their 2-minute offense. Sure. And we saw Nebraska intentionally set up for a 2-minute opportunity at the end of the first half where they were up, obviously they were up, 38-0 at that point. And what Matt Rule did was when Houston Christian got sacked, they had the fumble, they completed a pass or ran it on third down. Nebraska ended up burning all their timeouts to get the ball back with just over a minute left, just to set up a 2-minute offense type of opportunity. Because how hard are those to simulate in practice compared to the real thing?
Well, they're not hard to simulate in practice, but you're not playing against an opponent that you're playing against people you practice against. Mm-hmm. Now, granted, you want to go good on good. Sure, but you want to run different things. Obviously, you're going to project that maybe Michigan doesn't run the same type of coverages, don't have the same type of players. And if you want, free practice, you're out there and you're dominating a game. It's definitely the type of game that you want to, go out there and work on it. And you want to see how guys react to it. You want to see, Well, number one, you want to have Dylan have as many chances to run a 2-minute offense as possible, because that's just part of being a big time quarterback. But then more importantly, you want to see some guys maybe how they react to 2-minute offense, and see who plays better with a little bit of chaos. And then it's something that you might sometimes you can start out the game in 2-minute offense if it really takes out some of the anxiety for players. I mean, obviously the Buffalo Bills, back when they had Jim Kelly, that's essentially what they did. They really were trying to run a conventional offense, really was making a lot of hay in 2 minutes, and that became their base offense. Now, I don't think by any means Nebraska's going to do that, but you got to have, plenty of feathers in your cap when you are trying to go into the Big Ten and make a big leap to go from 6 wins to 8+ wins and get on a national level. So you got to be able to, you can't just wait for 2 minutes to happen, practice 2-minute offense, on air or against, other opponents. You got to go out there when you get a chance and try to make it happen.
Yeah, Nebraska unfortunately struggled a little bit on that drive that led into the half. Unfortunately, 2 plays, negative 10 yards, or lost 10 yards on that drive, took up 55 seconds. So it's unfortunate for Nebraska. Not a great look into the half. Not trying to nitpick by any means, but Nebraska, I mean, they scored on their opening 5 drives of the game, field goal to start out. Dylan probably wants a couple of those throws back on the opening drive. The ball to Dane Key that you had to throw into the wind kind of fluttered a little bit and was underthrown. And then the one on 3rd and goal that he threw over the head of Dane Key in the end zone to force Nebraska to attempt a field goal. Probably a couple that he would want back, but ultimately responds and they score a touchdown on the next 4 drives.
Yeah, I mean, you're always striving for perfection, knowing that it's probably, a goal that you won't meet. And so, when you want to be the best, you're looking at every little detail of how you played and how the team played, or in his case, the offense played. And so you're doing it with the best intentions. I always say you're playing individually, thinking collectively. So everybody needs to go back and really, evaluate your game. If you get like punch drunk off of beating up on a glorified high school team, and think that you got it figured out based on because you beat these guys that you're going to go through the Big Ten and this is the way it's going to be, then you're in for a rude awakening. So you got to look at everything as a competition. You want to be consistent. You want to be dominant, but also you want to make sure you have the little details of how to perfect your craft, because late in the season, you won't be able to practice as long or go over these minute details. So this is the kind of your practice tape that you, especially when you're playing an inferior team, that you go back on and say, okay, Coach Nick or Jay is talking about pad level or not letting the lineman or defensive lineman cross your face. I got to really get, good, step or backside cutoff. These are the games that you work on those things in.
Once again, 402-464-5685, the Honda Lincoln hotline, the Starter Heyman text line. We will take calls and texts as long as you guys are wanting to be here. 402-464-5685. The Honda Lincoln hotline and Starter Heyman text line. How about this one? Bruce from Oregon. He wants to talk about the rushing touchdown Nebraska allowed. Bruce, what's on your mind, my friend?
Hey, what's going on? So I get it that we were up. I guess my question is, I know that they were like 2nd and 3rd. So my question is, can they fix that? Like, can our defense, that our starters, when we going into the Big Ten play, can they fix that up like pretty quick? Because it, if we are having, missed errors like that, we're going to have trouble going to the Big Ten.
Yeah, thanks, Bruce. Obviously, Bruce referring to the touchdown run by Zayshawn Edwards, who is a guy that had Power 5 and Power 4 opportunities outside of high school. There was some off-the-field stuff that forced him to then come to an FCS school like Houston Christian. But Edwards had 13 carries, 82 yards, and that touchdown score. Bruce is obviously talking about there was a missed tackle by, I believe it was Jalen George, who missed the tackle, kind of reverse course, and Edwards was able to kind of reverse the field and go up the far sideline for a touchdown. That's something I open up the show with is the rush defense didn't look great today, but there were a lot of reserves out there.
Yeah, I mean, you're constantly working on it, and obviously it's been a point of emphasis. I mean, it seems like all camp, right?
Yeah.
I mean, everybody keeps bringing it up. I don't know whether it's like, fact or fiction or whatever. Literally that run right there was a really good individual effort. Obviously, you'd like to have the tackle at the point of attack, but I think the coaching point would be everybody has to rally to the ball and actually be disciplined in your chase lanes, and you don't overlap. You just don't run blindly. You don't essentially run horizontally. You're running at like continuous 45-degree angles and closing out to the back hip, and then lost the backside, leverage, and then he was able to, obviously outrun everybody to the end zone. A good block by their receiver, and so those are good. In the games like this, it's always good to have like good teaching, plays, and it doesn't matter. Really, you can teach your starters or your regular rotational players through some of the mishaps of some of the second and third team year reserves. You expect everybody to be able to handle their business. You give a little leeway because it's your reserves. They don't play a lot. They don't practice a lot, maybe probably during the season. But this is the wake up call for the starters. They look, this can happen in a game.
Yeah.
Don't sit over on the sidelines and not watch the game and not be intent and intentional how you're getting mental reps.
To the naked eye and just to casual football fans, how much teaching tape can you get from a game that has 59-7, or if it was
much.
Last week, Akron 68-0?
Not much, but you want to see consistent effort, consistent like fundamentals. That means getting off the ball, offensive line, defensive line, your head placement, helmet placement, good leverage. That's what you want to see, because that's consistently doing the same, the things that you've been trained to do. It's kind of a coin flip which one of the last two opponents were the worst.
Yeah, you're right.
And it's not, I'm not saying that, disrespectful, but it's hard to really gain. You can get confidence, right? And a lot of people say confidence is king, but you shouldn't get a lot of confidence off of being them. It should be in the confidence, the meter that I'm talking about, the confidence that you beat a game opponent. Confidence that you can do the things that you are coached to do. You get a lot of confidence from, because very easily, as we've seen teams in the other regimes in the past, will come out with a team like this, or like a North Dakota, and kind of like play with your food a little bit, and then everybody's calling on the text line upset because we're not playing up to the standard.
I think, once again, the post-game show sponsored by our friends Vinny Kreekak of State Farm Insurance, Baumgars and Anderson Ford of Lincoln, 464-5685, the Honda of Lincoln hotline. We'll take your phone calls. We'll take your texts. We'll get to a couple of them that we have that I'm kind of putting off to the side for later on in the show when we get to that specific topic on the text line. So make sure you stay tuned in to Jay, myself, Austin, and the rest of the crew. All right, Jay, when you look at these last couple of weeks for Nebraska, obviously Akron and Houston Christian, we know what the situation is. What is one thing, if there is anything, that maybe we were asking ourselves when you and I were down in Kansas City after Nebraska defeated Cincinnati 20-17, we were curious about, that maybe we have a better idea about following these last 2 weeks? Because I just asked you the question about teaching tape, and obviously the opponents were not great. And I'm not trying to diminish the two victories, because there is something to be said about winning in the fashion that Nebraska won these last 2 weeks. But from a research and analysis side of things, what do we know about Nebraska now post Akron and Houston Christian going into Michigan that maybe we didn't know after Cincinnati?
I think the biggest thing is that they're mature enough to beat down an opponent that they should. Now, I don't think it was very hard, but still, I think they a team that it's a maturity year for the football program, and a lot of players. I think that's the biggest thing you were able to see, because you didn't see that maybe against Cincinnati, or felt like you should have seen it against Cincinnati. So I would say that. I think you saw. I think another thing is maybe I think we've seen an expansion in the passing game.
I think so too.
I think we see better execution in the running attack, the conventional running game. Defense, and I think that we've seen obviously improvement in special teams because they had more opportunities. But then also, I think defensively, I think you've seen the depth, more depth. And that's what, everybody was worried about. The defensive line depth. We're not big enough and all that. Now you're starting to see guys play. Now you know who these known characters are, or newly known characters are. Now they all got to go play against the big boys.
I'm curious to see going forward now into the Big Ten Conference slate, not even just Michigan, but going forward into the rest of the conference slate, is who did we see that showed up in these last couple of weeks, and Cincinnati's can be included in this, but in these last few weeks that maybe at the beginning of the year we didn't expect so much, and now what role do they play in Big Ten Conference? Because there's a couple of guys that I think you could look at that played over the last 2 Saturdays and say, okay, they're getting opportunities, but they're going to preserve their red shirt. They won't play in the 4 games. They might play in the bowl game if Nebraska makes one, but ultimately we might not see them next week against Michigan. Well, then there were a couple of guys, both offensively and defensively, that you sit there and say, yeah, this is somebody that's done enough now these first 3 weeks that you can make a case that Nebraska is going to need them and they're a valuable piece of potential success.
Well, I think I'll start defensively, and obviously Cade jumped off last week, but I think over the last 3 games, I'm gonna say Dawson Merritt, the linebacker, especially when he's in that run and chase and hit position, not where where he has to coming right at him.
He delivered a couple of big blows today, physical, solid.
But
tackles.
Those come from the backside. But the one thing I watched, obviously, is linebackers, obviously with a little bit more intention than I guess the average, fan, is that, he plays bigger than his size. He knows the game of football. He plays with good energy, and he's physical enough that, you can see later in the year that he's going to play something. And the reason why I think it's important is because he legitimately, when his body starts to mature and as they periodically maybe put more on his plate, and I don't know what their plans are, is that he's a 3-down linebacker.
What do you see? So I want to stay on Dawson Merritt for a second.
3 downs now.
Yes, I understand that. But what is it that he does or what's his makeup? Because his development has kind of been expedited because of his play.
It's been expedited because of his play, his knowledge, learning the playbook.
I was going to say, when you say somebody is capable of being a 3-down linebacker, I mean, what is it? What's the makeup look like?
Well, he plays, number one, obviously, the game, is not too big for him. He's lining up right. He's making plays. He has excellent, just now the little things, little like snapshots we're seeing him play.
Yeah.
Got really good footwork, plays a really good, what I call leverage, which is obviously pad level, and has a good, in my opinion, has a good feel for passing concepts, coverages that, I always look for young linebackers. Do they understand down and distance and the depth of the drop that they should take based on the coverage down a distance and who they're playing? It's natural to him, and somewhat I understand, kind of see where he's going because he grew up around so much football with his dad coaching with the Kansas City Chiefs. It's just like this is kind of what he's used to.
Yeah,
and how he goes from here and how they choose to use him from here. I think can pay dividends. I think he can help you in the blitz game. I think he can help you of keeping your same personnel on the field and being able to cover slots down and tight ends. But this is a significant step up going into the Big Ten. But I think as initially from what I see, I like what I see. Probably as much or maybe more than what I maybe originally thought. And I thought he was a really good prospect and athlete coming out of high school.
Well, you can kind of start to see why he's a guy that a lot of schools, high profile schools, were wanting.
Oh,
I mean, Alabama, Florida State, USC, Washington, Oklahoma State, Michigan. I mean, these are big name physical programs that they need solid linebackers. And we're seeing why Dawson Merritt was so heavily recruited.
And he can cover some space. The one thing the biggest thing I always look for linebackers, when I guess I evaluate, can you closing speed? When you see it, and when you arrive, how quickly and how violently, and he does it real well. And I think they're using him in the right spot. They're not as I think the biggest issue of coach, or I guess coaching staffs and defensive coaches or whatever, when they get a young player, they start having them do things early in their football career that they're physically maybe not capable of do. Which I think where they're playing them now, kind of the run and hit position, I think it really works out well for them.
402-464-5685 Honda Lincoln Hotline. The Starter Heyman text line are open for you. We'll get back to the defensive conversation. I want to talk offense in just for the next 10 minutes or so before we take our first break here on the Jay Foreman Postgame Show. Jay, for the 3rd consecutive game, and partially it's taken into account they've got to put in a lot of backups and reserves in the later stages. But still, the point still is true and stands. Nebraska, for the 3rd consecutive game, has completed a pass to 10 or more receivers. I mean, you're talking about on the offensive side of the ball, multiple guys in the pass catching game, at least making their name show up in the box score. Today, Dane Key led the Huskers in receiving and receptions and yards. a quieter day for a guy like Isaiah Hunter. Ja'Cory Barney was out there to a certain extent. But to stay on the topic of guys that maybe we will see throughout Big Ten's conference season, Cortez Mills has certainly made a case for himself. We look at guys like potentially Quinn Clark or even a Keelan Smith on the edge of it. What do you see from the wide receiver room that intrigues you, in addition to the big three of Dane Key, who they've brought in, and he's caught a touchdown in every single game. He's been a very valuable addition to the roster. And Isaiah Hunter has the longevity of years of eligibility remaining, and then Ja'Cory Barney's just his usual self. In addition to those three, what do you like about the wide receiver room?
I like the depth and the different body types, and I think I like the instant development. Or not it hasn't been instant development, but I like the instant production that they've been able to provide at different times, at different moments throughout this first 3 games. I think it's great. I mean, look when you got Keelan Clark, right? 6'5", 6'6", can run, can make some big catches, can separate too, and then you got Keelan Smith, right? He's like kind of like that bulldog, and then you got Mills. That's a combination of both. Obviously, getting that flip. I think he was going to Oklahoma, came to Nebraska, or committed to Nebraska. That's those three right there is good. It's almost like a replica of what the big or the older three,
the top three are. Yeah,
and so I like it. I like what they do. I like what they're doing. I like the type of intensity that in detail that Coach Shorts has brought to him. I think him playing the position, and then him playing for Dana. And then Dana's obviously calling the plays. He knows exactly what is to be expected. I think they all understand when you get out there on the perimeter, you better be putting your best effort into blocking.
Has that been one of the lesser talked about, more important additions from the offseason? Is Da'Keil Shorts?
Well, sure, because of the departure of Coach McGuire.
Sure.
Which obviously, people just, obviously he's very young. And now he's going to have a long coaching career, I'm sure, and do well. But then you're bringing a guy that's done it. You got a guy that's, well, number one, you got a coach that's played in the pros. Okay. And that is important. And he's played the position that he's coaching.
Yeah.
Then he's played for Dana. And then he's coached with Dana.
With Dana already, yeah.
And Dana's by trade, at least from what I know, is that he was a former wide receiver coach. So when he comes in and he's expecting them to do something, whatever he wants out of his receivers, he's got everything covered. And I think he's raised the intensity. I think he knows what he wants out of his receivers, both the older guys and younger guys. I think bringing Dane with him really, really helps. Getting Hunter out of the portal really, really helps. And then also it helps and eventually will open up things for Barney. And then the other three, it's all good. And let's not forget, I think his name is Jeremiah Jones.
Okay. Yeah, he was out today.
Yeah, he's out. Listen.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't really look. He's young. Homeboy can play.
Well, and we saw a sliver of that last week, and that was Jeremiah Jones is a guy Nebraska had to. I don't know how public it was. I can't remember because it kind of just blends together. That's a guy, and I don't mind saying this. They had to fight off a lot of suitors on signing day. That was a guy Nebraska. It went down to the wire. Not that Nebraska was in on him. Nebraska was there, but that was somebody, Jeremiah Jones, that Nebraska had to fight off a lot of late interest and pushes from other big-time programs to get him to come be a Husker.
Sure, and that's, look, I mean, it's a great get. He's a big kid, 6'2", 6'3", can separate, contested catches, young, pretty competitive, like high school pedigree. Sure, you could say there's a lot of kids at that size walking around, probably not with that, route running and competitiveness, as early in his career. And so, look, Nebraska's trying to spread their bandwidth as far as recruiting, and try to go get some, athletes at every single position. He's just one of them. And you just look, we're concentrating on the wide receiver room. I think, Coach Shorts first of all, I think, Coach Shorts' personality is real cool, calm, and collective, under the radar. I think he likes that. But I think that also is why this wide receiver room is just business as usual.
It's interesting. So I pulled up when we were talking about Dawson Merritt a few minutes ago. I pulled up Nebraska's 2024 recruiting class. And I mean, you look at some of the names and talk about this from the point of view of a recruit, Jay, to where I get it, Akron and Houston Christian, and we're going to say that a couple of times and regurgitate those two names here in the next 60 minutes or so. But when a recruit can look at this and say, okay, Dawson Merritt is going to have significant playing time going forward for Nebraska, what we expect. Cortez Mills is probably a guy that will play more than 4 games throughout the rest of the season. Jeremiah Jones is a fringe guy, but certainly has opportunities if he's fully healthy. Isaiah Mosey is the guy that they've talked extensively about and will probably play more than 4 games. We saw the early development of TJ Lateef in today's game and last week as well. This is an opportunity for Nebraska staff to go look at and show recruits going forward. There's going to be opportunities for you to get some playing time early in your career.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously not every year you're going to be able to play.
Exactly.
Akron and Houston Christian, but it also lets you know that they're if you're good enough, they're going to play you.
Mm-hmm.
I know Caleb Benning redshirted, but he's a young guy. Cade was it Petrich?
Yeah,
right?
Petrock. Yep.
Petrock, excuse me. He's a true freshman. So when you're and if you come in and play, and you do, and you're competitive, and you hit the little measurables that they need, and that's you're going to play, and that's why they're probably trying to really hone in on measurables and stuff like that, with the track and certain height, weight, and length of arms and stuff like that, so guys get come in and compete. So it's a great recruiting tool, but also it's a testament to the situation, right? You have a relatively young team, got a lot of competition. A lot of the youth comes from the last 2 recruiting classes, and they're starting to pay some dividends.
402-464-5685, the Honda Lincoln hotline and the Starter Heyman text line are open for you guys. The rest of the way here, Jay and I will take you up to close to the 4 o'clock hour or so. So we got another 60 minutes or so from right now to go. And then Austin and Rudy will take over following us here on 93.7 The Ticket. Nebraska wins at 59-7 over the Houston Christian Huskies. The impressive performance from Dylan Raiola. I want to get into the quarterback conversation when we come back. Not that there is a conversation, but there's a lot of texts about TJ Lateef and the excitement around him. But then also we're forgetting now Dylan Raiola, 15 of 21 today, 222 yards, 2 touchdown passes. Most importantly, in a game like today, no interceptions. He continues it. He has now 8 touchdown passes and maybe the biggest number of his entire stat line, including the completion percentage, is 0 interceptions, 0 turnovers through 3 games for Dylan Raiola. I want to get Jay's thoughts on that when we come back. Jay, if I had to ask you, and before you send us to break, the most encouraging thing that you saw from today, as we close out the 2 o'clock hour and turn the corner to the 3 p.m. hour, what was the most encouraging thing you saw today from Nebraska?
I would say, defense, got a touchdown and was able to get to the quarterback. Deshaun McCullough got in there. I think that's the most encouraging thing. And Watson Trent, making some big plays. So the guys that got out of, I would say this was portal game 3, and so that's the most encouraging thing. So we'll talk a little quarterback. Dr. the doctor. Don't call him Little Mahomes. Dylan Raiola. We'll talk to him after a quick break. Jay Foreman postgame show. We'll be right back.
Experience an electric vehicle firsthand at LES's EV Ride and Drive, September 28th at the LES Operations Center. Registration is open now, but spots are limited. Visit les.com/drive to reserve your drive.
Starter Heyman Jewelers is celebrating 120 years as Lincoln's top choice for fine jewelry. Join us for our anniversary sale going on now through September 14th. Enjoy an exclusive 20 to 75% savings on dazzling diamond jewelry, exquisite rings, and luxury watches. This once-a-year event is our way of saying thank you to a community that has supported us over a century. Come enjoy our lowest prices of the year and celebrate this milestone with us now through September 14th at Starter Heyman Jewelers.
At Jimmy John's, we don't make sandwiches. We make the sandwich of sandwiches. We use fresh veggies because we don't hate salads. We just feel bad for them. We make our sandwiches exactly how you want because you're the one who's eating it. And we bake bread all day, every day because stale bread isn't bread. It's croutons. Sandwich history is written by the victors. Good thing we have legible handwriting. Jimmy John's, the sandwich of sandwiches. Order pickup or delivery on the app.
Finally, a good reason to have a smart house. Just say, Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket, and we'll magically start playing. How's it work? Nobody knows. Don't ask questions.
Things that impair you come in many different shapes and sizes. Some are the shape of beer and liquor bottles. Others look like cigarettes but aren't cigarettes at all. These are the things we know impair us, the things our parents warned us about. What we're not always aware of is our new prescription or the over-the-counter medicine we picked up just for allergies or a bad cold. See, it doesn't just matter how much of a substance you take. If you are impaired, driving is deceptively dangerous. Don't drive impaired. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Stonebrook Exterior is your trusted partner in exterior solutions for both residential and commercial projects across Lincoln and Omaha. With over 2 decades of expertise, they deliver everything your building needs, all under one roof. From roofing and siding to gutters, wall systems, custom masonry, and metalwork, Stonebrook handles it all with precision, safety, and professionalism. Take the worry out of your exterior projects. Choose Stonebrook Exterior, where quality, safety, and service come together seamlessly. Visit stonebrookexterior.com or call 402-438-5559 to get your free quote today. Nebraska fans, it's game day in downtown Lincoln. Big Ten Sports Bar is your ultimate spot to catch Nebraska football and volleyball, with every game on every screen all day long. Today, they're bringing the party with Sidetrack Band all day long, and Velvet Crush takes over tonight. Doors open bright and early at 8 a.m. Grab breakfast, stay for the game, and keep the night going with full kitchen open until midnight. Big Ten Sports Bar, downtown Lincoln's home for Nebraska sports, bands, good food, and drinks.
Hey there, this is Paul Scheel, owner of High Electric. I want to thank our friends and loyal customers and introduce High Electric to those looking for a new electrician. We've been serving the Lincoln and Omaha area for over 30 years, from design to install, upgrades, and repair. If you are a homeowner or a small business needing some electrical work, call us at 402-466-6606 or check us out at hyelectric.com. We look forward to hearing from you.
I can't believe I just scratched that car. Find my insurance card.
Dude, what do you have in this glove box? Ew, are these socks dirty?
Forget about the socks. I need my insurance card.
Just pull it up on the State Farm mobile app.
But I can do that? Oh, hey, I can do that.
Yep, it's called service.
I can file a claim on here too?
Yeah, it's called service.
Whoa, I can call my agent too?
It's called service.
Call your local State Farm agent, Vinny Krikak, today at 402-474-1173.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
This fall, Baumgars has everything you need to get your farm ready for the season. Stock up on livestock feed, deer corn, and pine shavings to keep your animals fed and your farm running smoothly. Need tools for your fall projects? Grab DeWalt power tools and grass seed to keep your fields in top shape before winter. From your barn to your backyard, Baumgars has you covered. Get ready for the season with everything you need to finish those fall fix-ups. Baumgars, field, farm, and fall fix-ups.
Sapp Brothers is celebrating college football season with the Big Red Fuel Giveaway. When you contract your fuel with Sapp Brothers Petroleum, you can enter to win $1,000 in fuel credit on their website. Sapp Brothers is your local expert for fuel, propane, petroleum products, and services, plus your partner in agriculture. Learn more about the contest at sapbros.net or stop by one of their 17 centers, including in Lincoln at 6001 Cornhusker Highway. Whether you're hauling harvest or headed to the game, Sapp Brothers fuels Nebraska. MWR is dedicated to building attractive, affordable steel buildings that exceed your expectations. From commercial to residential to agriculture storage, steel buildings are cost-effective, attractive, and versatile. Plus, they're a lasting investment and an ideal choice. MWR uses Sentinel Building Systems out of Albion and can service you all over the state and region. If you have interest in a steel building, post frame building, or fencing, give MWR a call today at 402-980-5273 or go to mwrbuildingandfence.com.
The party is back on in Lincoln this fall, and there's no party like the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show. Join the whole Ticket crew for 2.5 hours of pregame coverage before every home and away game this football season as they get you ready for the game. It's the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate Pregame Show at our downtown studio at 11th and O. Sponsored by Select Plumbing, Raising Cane's, Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits, Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, Currency, and the Kindler Hotel. Back to the Jay Foreman Postgame Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Powered by Baumgars, Anderson Ford, and Vinnie Kreekak of State Farm Insurance. Here are your hosts, Jay Foreman and Nick Sainert.
Yes, sir. Jay Foreman Postgame Show. O Street is jam-packed, obviously, with the blowout in Nebraska. Everybody's trying to get home, cool off a little bit.
I'll be honest, Jay, it's one positive of us being able to do this postgame show is we don't have to deal with the traffic right out of the game.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, glass half full mentality.
Yeah, foot traffic last week was crazy, but always good to be 3-0, no matter who you're playing. And you could be Colorado in prime.
Kansas State.
You could be Kansas State.
UCLA.
You could yeah.
Jay.
D. Foster.
You and I haven't been able to talk about a couple of those teams yet, but oof.
Yeah, the struggle is real.
You could handle the UNLV one because UNLV's with Dan Mullen is somewhat competent. New Mexico at UCLA though,
and you paid them to come beat you,
man.
And the way they beat you,
yeah. I mean, and they there was a couple of moments in the middle stages where New Mexico tried to give UCLA chance after chance after chance, and UCLA did not have it. Before we talk Nebraska and Houston Christian a little bit more, want to thank our friends Anderson Ford of Lincoln, Vinnie Kreekak of State Farm Insurance, and Baumgars. This fall, Baumgars has everything you need to get your farm ready for the season and tools for your fall projects to get ready before winter. Get ready with Baumgars throughout Nebraska and in Lincoln at 56th and Cornhusker Highway. All right, Jay, let's talk DR. Dylan Raiola and the Huskers. Dylan today, 15 of 21 through the air, 222 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and no INTs. His season statistics, he now has 8 touchdown passes, no interceptions. One interesting just stat line that I was able to discover and uncover throughout the course of the game, Dylan Raiola this season, we talked about his scrambling ability, the work of trying to become a little bit more mobile with outside of the pocket. 4 of Dylan's scrambles this year have gone for first downs. He has 4 first down scrambles in third down situations this season. That's an area that we've seen maybe a little bit of improvement for Dylan.
Yeah, learning when to run, how to run, and obviously the best part is he slid there after. And I think that his longest run was brought back of a penalty. Obviously, you had the called RPO, and so the more that you can do and add to your game, that's what you want. And so you want your quarterback and your I guess the lifeline of your team to go out there and perform well. And I think from the quarterback position, he's done well. He's been really, really efficient. And we're up here talking about where he fits passes and not, as far as, I guess somewhat of a, in a perfect world. And you want him, I think that one of the things you want out of any player, and obviously Dylan plays for us, is that you want him to be able to go out there and play the same no matter who they're playing against. And you want him to go out there and be effective and be consistent. Now, sure, it goes without saying. Akron and Houston Christian are probably 2 of the worst teams out there. Mm-hmm. That's just part of, sometimes you schedule these guys and you got to go out there and beat them down. But from his individual play, I think you're seeing a little bit of the year 2 maturation. And then in conjunction with, obviously the teams that we've played are, rather, suspect or not really that good. But he's still a young quarterback in this thing of being a big time quarterback. He's still young, but I think where he's at, I think he's definitely at or ahead of schedule.
When you scout what Dylan's done, and I want to separate this between during the play and pre-snap, because we mentioned the Akron Houston Christian pieces of it. Is it dependent on the team, the ability to read things pre-snap and make the necessary adjustments? Because that's one area that I would like to talk a little bit about with Dylan is the pre-snap stuff, because we've heard the staff and Dana and Matt Rule talk extensively about how Dylan has a lot of freedom, a lot more freedom than a lot of other college quarterbacks as well within the offense. When you talk, does the opponent dictate how easy it is to identify things pre-snap, or is that solely Dylan and it doesn't matter who you're playing?
Well, I think obviously when you're playing,
I was going to say, is there a difference between
it is
identifying things pre-snap against Houston Christian versus Michigan?
Yeah, it's going to be significantly
different. Okay, how so?
Number one, they'll be coached to where, Wink Martindale, they'll hold their coverages until the very end, before Nebraska snaps it. So you won't, the pre-snap reads won't or shouldn't be as clear. They will obviously be able to play different coverages out of different, personnel or, something like that, where they, most teams you're like, okay, where, they'll have two high safeties, right? You think, okay, that's a cover 2 look, right? Maybe cover 4. Hey, they haven't good enough players. They'll go from a cover 2 look down to a cover 3. They'll be in a cover 3 look, and then they'll have a middle runner from a slot. They'll be able to do different things, and that's where, you got to really, have your bases covered, and you're just going to go out there and try to run every play as effectively as possible. And what you have to do is think of every singular play against every singular option or outcome that the defense could possibly throw at you. So, but, back to Dylan, diving into the playbook, being invested in being a quarterback, from that standpoint, and being able to handle himself. He's been able to do that better than maybe majority of even high profile 5-star recruits that go to any other school. And I think, again, just like Dawson Merritt or even Deshaun McCullough, I know his dad used to be the Kansas City Chiefs running back coach, with Dawson Merritt. Growing up around football, being in the NFL locker room, probably being exposed to these type of coverages and how to be a quarterback, all that, is something that you can't put in a recruiting ranking system. It's just something that you have that you can't explain, but you know it when you see it.
Once again, the Jay Foreman Postgame Show brought to you by our friends at Anderson, Ford of Lincoln, Vinny Kreekak of State Farm Insurance, and Baumgars. Protect yourself from the unexpected. Contact Vinny and his team for a personal price plan to take the guessing out of insurance. Call today at 402-474-1173. That's Vinny Kreekak of State Farm Insurance. All right, let's go to the Honda of Lincoln hotline, 402-464-5685. We've got Fritz on the Honda of Lincoln hotline. Fritz, appreciate the patience, my friend. What's on your mind today?
Hey, gentlemen. Good afternoon. Great show. Love to listen to you. How about them Huskers again today? I love it. Just a quick question for you guys. I know that, obviously, like Jay was just mentioning that, Houston Christian and Akron, probably not the level of competition. With the special team he has.
Oh, no, Fritz, we're losing you. You're cutting out, my friend.
Can you still hear me?
There you go. Yep. Now you're a little bit better. Let's try that again.
Okay. Sorry about that. I just was going to say, I think our special teams has just vastly improved. Guys are going, up to make the catch on when they're back to receive a punt. They're fair catching it. We're getting the ball. We're returning it. So that's awesome. But along those lines with special teams, do you feel like since our punter now has not punted in a live situation for 2 weeks now, you think that's something Michigan will try to exploit? And I'll just listen to you guys. I appreciate the show, man.
Thanks, Fritz. Appreciate that. I'll say this. I think Michigan will try to make Nebraska punt. Hopefully. But, I mean, in all seriousness, though, I think Archie Wilson's going to be just fine.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they practice pretty extensively, different scenarios to punt, when to do it. They get plenty of practice. And so it's not like he's going to be,
cold.
Rusty. Now, obviously, you don't want him to punt. So you can't. Yeah, I was about to say you want him to punt. You don't want him to punt.
Right.
So, look, you expect him to get some action next week, and so now you got to really, really get the timing for him, and he'll be just fine.
I appreciate Fritz bringing up special teams because I did. I mean, at some point throughout this, we were going to dive into it. The one area that hasn't been the most sharp has been on the kickoffs. Every single week so far, there's been a kickoff that's gone out of bounds. This week, first week, it was John Hull against Cincinnati. Then they brought in Tristan Alvano. Week number 2, Tristan Alvano kicked one out of bounds. Now, today, early in the game, John Hull kicks another one out of bounds. Those are things that, if we're trying to devil in the details, I suppose, Jay, like that's something that might hurt you more against a Maryland or a Michigan or a Michigan State than it would against an Akron or a Houston Christian. But that's been, as we're accustomed to usually complaining and griping about special teams, really that's the only thing that hasn't been improved or sharp through 3 games.
Yeah, and when you're playing at different surfaces too, you got obviously the natural grass, and then you're at home. There is a difference. Now you're trying to maybe coffin corner kick and see if you can get it to kind of put it in golf terms, check up a little bit, right? But sure, that I guess if there's one thing the tidbit that you got to get better at, sure, you want that because you don't want to give up any free yards against Michigan. And that's obviously we're talking about Michigan because that's the most important game, which is the next game. You got a freshman quarterback. You don't want him getting a free 15 yards because the ball happens to go out of bounds. So it's something they'll probably address and probably figure out what it is. Are you playing too much wind? Are you not playing enough? Or are you trying to kick the ball too perfect? Now, whatever it is, they'll work on it and see what happens, come next Saturday.
Let's go back to the Honda of Lincoln hotline. Forgot to push the button. Let's go back to the Honda of Lincoln hotline. I believe we got Boone on the line. Boone, what's on your mind today?
I had a question for you. I thought that Houston had several opportunities where they could have run fake punts, where they had 3 gunners on one side and we only had 1 defender. There was one time, I know in the first half, when we sent the house, and if the snapper would have just turned around, they could have hit him with the ball and he could have run as long as he wanted to, probably for a touchdown, because he would have had 5 guys blocking in front of him. It just seemed like our punt coverage was very lacking. And I guess that's it.
Thanks, Boone. Appreciate that. Nebraska did try to get some mitts on the punts today. They were unsuccessful. There was that one that it was early in the game, and I apologize because Houston Christian had to punt however many times they did, quite a few. There was one of those that it didn't necessarily, they didn't get a hand on it, but it definitely affected the punter, and he could feel some of the pressure. It got a little wobbly, and that's one that Nebraska got on the plus side of the 50. I was talking to a couple of other people up there that how hard is it, Jay, to simulate kickoff coverage? I know Boone just talked about punt coverage.
What do you mean simulate?
Like to make it actually game-like reps. Is it difficult at all?
No.
Okay.
No, because from my experience, no. You break it down just like any play. Number one, you're working on your takeoff, so you're getting the timing of the kicker. Some are guys that kind of glide into it. Some guys just come out of a cannon and want to try to get their whole body into it. So you're trying to time up the kickoff, because the most important thing when you're covering a kick is when that kicker kicks the ball, you want to be at top speed. Mm-hmm. And then you get a beat on what they like to do as far as return wise, and it's no different. It's still a football play, and so you're trying to get tips on where they're going to return the ball based on maybe their, we used to call them an up back, is maybe, maybe they have 3 up backs up there in front of the returner. But most likely that's, maybe a middle return. They have 2, then maybe they're going on the side. Or if they have one of their frontline guys tilted a certain way. Or when the ball is kicked to the left or right, or down the middle, maybe they just do that side of return. So however basic or complex they are, that's what the scouting comes into. And then you're running against your scout team, and the scout team's running the returns against you. And so you're working on, different, we used to have, slide and swim, right? You slide across the guy's face, swim, get upfield, right? It's no different than a football play. Or you do button press when it's more of what we used to face is wedge blocking. So you're trying to really run him back into the 3 guys that are possibly trying to, go into other guys in your team, and you got to make plays. And so I don't think it's very hard. It's just that, you just got to keep working at it. And the thing about special teams, you could go 4 kickoffs, kicking them to the end zone, start the game, end zone, score, 3 or field goal, another score. 4. You run down there, and then you're like, oh, well, everyone's going out of the end zone. Well, he might get under one a little bit.
Catch you lacking.
It was 9 iron, might not fly where you might get underneath it a little bit.
That's right.
Yeah, so we got to cover.
A little chunky.
You got to cover the kickoff, and then you got to look at it, and you got to kind of project where it's going, because if it has too much height on it, that means you got to throttle down, and you're going to have to cross face early, and then you're going to have to make a football play. Because if you just keep running full speed, you're going right past the ball carrier.
One bright spot on special teams as we get ready to head to break. One brighter spot has been Kyle Kanan. Kyle Kinnanen, it's now to the point, I think, Husker fans, and feel free to text us if you feel differently, if you feel the same. Give us a rating 1 to 10 on confidence level when Kyle Kinnanen goes out there. Not just on extra points. Nebraska hasn't had issues on extra points, but now, once again, this is the third consecutive game we've seen Kyle Kinnanen go out there, just do his job. It's been low stress, a low drama kicking game for Nebraska in terms of field goal. And it's more so than just even Kyle Kinnanen. It's the snap looks good. The holds are good. Like the whole process and the operation is light years better and improved than what it was in 2024.
Yeah, it looks, that's part of the kicking game. That's actually the biggest part of kicking.
Yeah.
Hull last year wasn't able to have that consistency in the operation. But this year it's been, pretty flawless in both the kicking and the punting. And that's where you're able to get Archie to do kind of the different things that he likes to do. When you get a guy that's on the run, you got to kind of angle that snap. You can't just be snapping it there and he's trying to run over there. So I think it's those are the things that it was a really good point there, Nick, where that's the evolution of becoming, a different type of special team that puts a little bit more pressure on this other opposing special teams coach. And so we'll see what Nebraska does. I think the biggest thing going into this next game is understanding and having 100% faith and belief that you don't have to do anything extraordinary to beat this team. Now you're going to have to go beat Michigan. All right. And and when we do beat Michigan, we have to also be somewhat humble because you got a week off after.
Yeah.
Right. And understand we're beating Sharon Moore's Michigan team. And then we're on to the next. Nothing to be solved. It's just the next step in the process of getting to where we want to get. And it all starts actually, to be honest with you, it's like after you eat dinner at 6:00 at night, listen, Michigan is thinking about Nebraska right now. I know exactly what I know Wayne Martindale very well. I consider him a friend. I know what his message is. I know exactly what he's saying. He probably has either a Zen or two, or hey, he is a Zen master or a dip. He has a dip in there, and he's got these big old Oakleys. He probably got a flow in the back. He probably is at home, crack open a couple libations, and he is thinking about Nebraska right now.
Yeah, Michigan just knocked off Central Michigan 63-3 today. So, two teams really, both. Michigan lost to Oklahoma 2 weeks ago now, or last weekend, 2 games ago now, knocked off Central Michigan in the fashion that we expected them to, beat the week 1 opponent in the way that we expected Michigan to. Similar storylines, really. In all honesty, yeah, one team is going to be 3-0. The other one is going to be a top 25 team in Michigan and with a 2-1 record with a loss against a top 20 school on the road in Oklahoma. But at the end of the day, it should be a competitive, physical game.
Oh yeah, this game should be physical. Michigan is probably going to try to be physical, and if Michigan's trying to come in and play like, patty cake, then you need to be physical, even more physical with it. I'm just going to assume Michigan's going to try to be physical.
Yeah, obviously Bryce Underwood, Justice Haynes, the Alabama or the SEC transfer, not from Alabama, potentially from Alabama. Can't remember. Either way, Anderson Ford of Lincoln, sponsor of the Jay Foreman Postgame Show. Experience better with upfront market-based pricing at Anderson Auto Group of Lincoln, 27th and I-80 and 33rd and Yankee Hill. All right, so Jay, let's go ahead and put a pin in it there. I want to look ahead to Michigan next week because kind of give an idea. Houston Christian was what we expected, right? The margin was what we expected. Clean game. Penalties were at a little bit lower than last week. They had 2 fewer penalties last week than they did today. 4 penalties for 45 yards. Houston Christian shot themselves in the foot right out of the gate. 9 penalties for 71 yards. And early in the game against Nebraska's best, they just could not get anything going when they were behind the chains early on in the possession. And so this game went as expected. I think it's now time, though, to turn the page and look ahead to Michigan. And under center, they have a freshman quarterback that could certainly pose a lot of issues for Nebraska and try to expose some of Nebraska's weaknesses.
Yeah, he's a big kid. Obviously, he throws the ball better than probably people give him credit for. And, he was a 5-star recruit, a big flip. And obviously everybody knows about David Portnoy and everybody pitching in to make sure he gets his NIL money. But, I think
Hey, Portnoy might be here next week for you. That's your boy.
For you.
That's your boy.
I've never seen anybody fanboy.
Is that
over
right?
An internet star.
That's
like
not
you.
true.
Yes, you did. I had to make you go talk to him. You stared at him.
Should we go ahead and relive this? I don't think we should.
You stared at that man.
No, we did not.
Like you saw some like supermodel or something.
Oh, is that right?
And I was like, go talk to him, man. Go take a picture with him.
All
You
right.
were cheesing, boy.
Your boy Taylor Lewan's also going to be here.
Cool. Coach Taylor?
Yeah. Will Compton?
Yeah, that'd be great.
That's your boy.
Yeah. Maybe he'll get a 95 championship shirt too.
There you go. Jay sent us to break.
Anyway, Jay Foreman, postgame show. Pettiness is in the building.
It is the reunion weekend. It's a big weekend for you next week.
Why is it a big weekend? We did what we need to do. We're just there. We're here to support.
Okay, send us to break.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, Jay Foreman postgame show. Pettiness, Petty Pat as well. We'll be right back.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait. Apply now.
Oh, Kansas.
Here we go. Second half today.
You just don't stop giving, do you?
Green flag, we're underway.
The closest finish in NASCAR Cup Series history. Close to downtown, amazing campgrounds. 3 NASCAR races in one weekend, and it's the playoffs.
You guys can't drive.
Now you're just showing off. But we're not mad. In fact, we're looking forward to it. NASCAR Playoffs Weekend at Kansas Speedway, September 26th through the 28th. Get your tickets now at kansasspeedway.com.
Join LES at 6 p.m. Thursday, October 9th at the LES Operations Center to learn about the utilities' proposed 2026 budget and electric rates, and share your input at the annual public meeting. Learn more at les.com.
The party is back on in Lincoln this fall, and there's no party like the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show. Join the whole ticket crew for 2.5 hours of pregame coverage before every home and away game this football season as they get you ready for the game. It's the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show at our downtown studio at 11th and O. Sponsored by Select Plumbing, Raising Cane's, Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits, Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, Currency, and the Kindler Hotel.
I can't believe I just scratched that car. Find my insurance card.
Dude, what do you have in this glove box? Ew, are these socks dirty?
Oh, forget about the socks. I need my insurance card.
Just pull it up on the State Farm mobile app.
But I can do that? Oh, hey, I can do that.
Yep, it's called service.
I can file a claim on here too?
Yeah, it's called service.
Whoa, I can call my agent too?
It's called service.
Call your local State Farm agent, Vinny Krikak, today at 402-474-1173.
Anderson Ford in Lincoln has 2 convenient locations, which means 2 times the customer service, 2 times the inventory, and 2 times the ability to get you in the car of your dreams. Whether you visit us on the north side or the south side, you'll find more selection and a team that's always on your side. When you're looking for a better way to buy your next Ford, visit Anderson Ford in Lincoln, where exceptional service meets unbeatable selection.
Things that impair you come in many different shapes and sizes. Some are the shape of beer and liquor bottles. Others look like cigarettes but aren't cigarettes at all. These are the things we know impair us, the things our parents warned us about. What we're not always aware of is our new prescription or the over-the-counter medicine we picked up just for allergies or a bad cold. See, it doesn't just matter how much of a substance you take. If you are impaired, driving is deceptively dangerous. Don't drive impaired. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Husker fans know when you work together, great things happen. At Cornhusker Bank, they're more than your financial partner. With 5 locations in Lincoln and 1 in Omaha, they're your neighbors, your teammates, and your biggest fans. Whether you're saving for your first home, planning your future, or growing your business, they're right here in Nebraska to help you move forward together. Visit cornhusker.bank to learn more. Cornhusker Bank, member FDIC. Doing life together. Sapp Brothers is celebrating college football season with the Big Red Fuel giveaway. When you contract your fuel with Sap Brothers Petroleum, you can enter to win $1,000 in fuel credit on their website. Sap Brothers is your local expert for fuel, propane, petroleum products, and services, plus your partner in agriculture. Learn more about the contest at sapbros.net or stop by one of their 17 centers, including in Lincoln at 6001 Cornhusker Highway. Whether you're hauling harvest or headed to the game, Sap Brothers fuels Nebraska.
Select Plumbing and Utility has been serving Lincoln and the surrounding area for 14 years, and they're not slowing down. Select Plumbing and Utility handles all your plumbing needs, from faucets and water heaters to full renovations, and they can even help with your heating and cooling needs. They're also Lincoln's underground experts, repairing and replacing broken underground water and sewer lines since day one. Contact Select Plumbing and Utility today at 402-560-6197, assuring excellence in every situation, opportunity, and challenge. That's 402-560-6197.
Experience the Landmark difference with the next level of dealer support. Landmark, your local John Deere dealer, continually works to have parts on hand the first time you walk in the door. Our internal route system means we can get the parts to you typically same or next day to keep you up and running. At Landmark, we understand time is money. Get more uptime with our after-hours parts and service support on the phone or in the field. Stop by your local Landmark today to experience the Landmark difference.
Stonebrook Exterior is your trusted partner in exterior solutions for both residential and commercial projects across Lincoln and Omaha. With over 2 decades of expertise, they deliver everything your building needs, all under one roof. From roofing and siding to gutters, wall systems, custom masonry, and metalwork, Stonebrook handles it all with precision, safety, and professionalism. Take the worry out of your exterior projects. Choose Stonebrook Exterior, where quality, safety, and service come together seamlessly. Visit stonebrookexterior.com or call 402-438-5559 to get your free quote today.
This fall, Baumgars has everything you need to get your farm ready for the season. Stock up on livestock feed, deer corn, and pine shavings to keep your animals fed and your farm running smoothly. Need tools for your fall projects? Grab DeWalt power tools and grass seed to keep your fields in top shape before winter. From your barn to your backyard, Baumgars has you covered. Get ready for the season with everything you need to finish those fall fix-ups. Baumgars, field, farm, and fall fix-ups.
Back to the Jay Foreman Postgame Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Powered by Baumgars, Anderson Ford, and Vinny Krekak of State Farm Insurance. Here are your hosts, Jay Foreman and Nick Sainert.
What up, we're back, Jay Foreman Postgame Show on to Michigan. Another 20, 30 minutes. I mean, that's all there is to it. I mean, how much are we going to talk about?
Oh, no, yeah, I was laughing about all this other stuff.
Yeah, but the big weekend, next weekend, but then obviously, could be, won't be any distractions, and obviously the most important thing is Nebraska, handle their business against Michigan. I think what Michigan poses is just more tidied up. I mean, it's obviously let's assume and let's just always prepare for the best is a big step up from Cincinnati. And sure, you can't say, okay, well, since we struggle with Cincinnati, that Michigan's going to come in and beat us. Michigan obviously lost, and they struggled a little bit in their first game, and so it's going to be 2 evenly matched teams. You got to prepare well, and then you got to go out there and compete. And then you got to understand that it's going to go ebbs and flows, and when you got to make big time plays, a big time play in the game against Michigan is getting a 3rd and 5 and get a 7-yard scramble or a swing pass to Emmett. He makes somebody miss, and he gets a sneaky first down.
Jay, one thing we haven't talked about today, has been Nebraska's running back room. It was interesting, not necessarily that we didn't see Mekhi Nelson. We can get to that, and Rule was asked about that in the post game, so we have a clip from Matt Rule before we dive into that. But I've started to come to the realization that this staff really likes the punch that Quentin Ives can give them if he stays healthy.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's a big old back. He's got enough quickness and definitely has the speed and power to play in the Big Ten. And obviously, that's what they recruited him for, and that's what they. I think EJ Barthel in the summer, challenged him to get better at the little details. Kind of become your version or Quentin's version of Emmett. He was battling a little injury, during training camp. And so they were able to get him some good, work the last couple of weeks. And obviously he was able to do some good things. And so he's a different style of back based on his size. He's a Big Ten looking back. Now he's got to be able to do it in a big time game.
Could you compare him to Marquise Stepp, a guy that moves better?
Yeah, way better than that.
But similar size?
Yeah, I think
like what they wanted to bring in Marquise for?
Yeah, I mean, I think Quentin is way more put together.
Okay.
Better, but the same, I guess, big back.
Because we didn't see a whole lot of Emmett today.
Probably a little bit of Dante Dowdell in him, but way more wiggle.
Don't say that.
But he's way more wiggle.
Yeah. You're right.
And better vision.
Yeah, I think so too.
So I think, that's where you're at. And I mean, look, Emmett's the guy, you get him enough carries where Emmett can be productive, and you got to understand how the guys got to do it. This is a long season, and the most important game is Michigan versus, Houston Christian.
It doesn't feel like Emmett Johnson got 13 carries today. I mean, it was quick. Obviously didn't play the entirety of the second half. But I mean, when you look at going into next week, there's no excuse not to be fresh, though, right? When you look at these last 2 weeks, you've played 4 quarters in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, if that.
Yeah.
And you kind of played hide and go seek with those, kind of just let's do this, okay, and just kind of everybody can
a little bit there, a little bit there.
Everybody can get some work in.
I just wonder because, Nebraska's in a fortuitous spot going forward into Michigan. This is the game that everybody circled. This is the game, right? Because we knew had confidence as viewers of Nebraska football, had confidence that Nebraska would be 3-0 going into this game. This is the one that way back in March or April or even at Big Ten Media Days when you and I were out in Vegas, we kind of circled and said, okay, this is the one that we're going to know and be able to get a lot of awareness or knowledge of what Nebraska could do this and could be this year.
Yeah, it's the first little test because you're playing a name brand. You're playing a blue blood.
Yeah.
A team that has a, winning tradition, or DNA, you know what I mean? Just 2 years off of a national championship. That just doesn't go away because Mr. Khakis is out in the NFL. It's
and Sharon Moore's out.
But Sharon Moore's been there, and Michigan kind of found their new life. With the win over Ohio State and then the beatdown of Alabama in the bowl game.
Yeah.
And so that's where you know that they could be dangerous. Now, they have a freshman quarterback, which they haven't had to have, for very, a long time. And they lost a lot of guys on defense, but they've recruited well. They did a really good job, according to them on the portal. So this is the first one. This is the first true test. Cincinnati was like a little tiny speed bump. This one right here is a roadblock that you got to essentially be an 18-wheeler and run through. You got to beat these dudes. Cincinnati, I don't think showed up to win. Number one, when your athletic director allows you to go, when you're supposed to have a home game, you go to away game.
That's brutal.
You're not trying to win. They didn't really call plays to win. So
showed the priority was money.
And you didn't really call plays to win.
Mm-hmm.
I assume and expect Michigan, and I would be very disappointed in anything else. They don't show up to win. They'll have better athletes. They'll be stronger. They'll be faster. And Nebraska's this is their first test of seeing another team or athletes that look just like you, and in some cases might be bigger, faster, and stronger than you.
Here's Matt Rule on enjoying the win, but time to lock in for Big Ten play.
I mean, Dylan was talking about doing his Sunday workout today. I asked the guys, I said, I told them, enjoy it, but to show up tomorrow ready to go. And again, I want to make it very clear. It's not about any one opponent in the Big Ten. We're now in Big Ten play. Like, we played 3 non-conference games. We're a proud member of the Big Ten, and it's a challenging conference with a tough schedule. We're going to play a lot of great teams. We have to show up every week and improve. I mean, the first thing we have to do is improve before we even get to the game. And so, I think the guys will be ready to go tomorrow, and we'll have another good week.
So there you go, Jay. I mean, here's another one from Matt Rule on just one of his favorite things to talk about, playing to the standard.
Yeah, I mean, I think anytime you score on defense and, you make them punt that many times, I think that's excellent. We had some times where, we had some soft coverage and we gave up some throws. I don't know how many yards in it with passing. So we missed 3 weeks in a row of under 100 yards passing. Sierra did a great job moving into the slot and playing the nickel, which let Donnie and Donnie and Marshall go outside and start, and then Jameer came in and played well. So I thought, for the most part, a lot of those things looked good. You hate the one long run. We had him tackled in the backfield and he reversed out. If the guys trust the things that we say, when we might say track the near hip, I might say that more than I say go big red. And we didn't track the near hip, and so we got burned on it. And so that'll teach us something. But I thought the guys came out. I'm sure there'll be lots of things, when you pick the film apart. But for where we were and for the opponent we played, I thought they played pretty well. Looked like we tackled pretty well. And we got to the quarterback today, which is good.
Jay, when you talk about, you and I mentioned and had this brief discussion in the pregame show over at the Kindler, talking about the cliche reference between making improvements from game 1 to game 2.
Mm-hmm.
What improvements did you see from game 2 to game 3, if any, or was it some of more of the same?
Well, yeah, more of the same, which obviously is an improvement because it's actually showing consistency. And then I think I saw a little bit more explosiveness as far as defensively. I obviously saw Van Poppel strip, forced fumble, Nelson picking it up, scoring, right, defensive touchdown.
Yeah. Which can we talk about the bear claw? He picked it up and then had it way outside.
Yeah,
what would you say to Nelson, or not Wilson, Williams?
Nothing. Look, I got it right here. I got some big hands.
Yeah.
Okay. I shook his hand. Homeboy got some mitts. It's not.
He made it look easy to pick that football up.
He looked like an eagle with an eagle talon going to get some meat. Just coming down and just flies to the way to the high in the sky.
That's
it was
right.
out.
That's right.
Yeah, man. Good for him.
But
man.
he just had it out there.
Well,
then he realized, I got to put it up.
Yeah, he got high and tight. All I thought about when he was running the ball, just imagine if he was a running back in high school, like Derrick Henry.
You know what I thought about?
Leon Lett.
No, thank goodness he didn't trip and fall.
Here you go.
No, I was just saying. It's a good thing that it didn't come up and grab him.
Here you go.
The turf monster.
Here you go. See,
it's my first time referencing it all year.
See,
it's my first time.
It's
after a 59-7 win.
No. See, here's the
You're
problem.
fine.
Here's the problem.
Stop complaining.
You and that man in there. You two.
It's not us.
Yes, it is.
All I'm saying. That's why I asked advice. Did you have anything for him?
Pick him up. My advice is high knees. Pick him up. It's a long way until you could get started. I was oh my God. But I bounced back like Return of the Jedi.
You did.
Yeah.
And you had an okay career out. I mean, it all worked out.
Yeah, it worked
out. It all worked out.
Yeah.
We can laugh about it now. At least it wasn't the end of it.
Well, here's the thing I always tell people. Everybody's got jokes when it comes to when they hang out with me. You, Jason Peters, Aaron Bell. Everybody thinks they're funny. Right? Everybody likes to crack jokes. They're like, hey, why don't you joke around? I always tell people, a joke is only funny when two people are laughing.
We have it on record. You just laughed quite a bit.
People laughing, or one person is laughing. That's you.
You just laughed quite a bit, Jay.
I'm trying to
more than people probably have heard you in a very long time.
That's my defense mechanism. I'm trying to laugh off the anger. So
it's your defense mechanism. That's wild. No, in all seriousness, I mean, he just made it look easy. That's the honest
good for him. And then obviously Deshaun McCullough was able to get in there, and I think the most impressive sack was Watson Trent. Sometimes you gotta, I'm not gonna tell you what they used to tell us, like kind of what the acronym of what they were saying that we need to do. But sometimes you gotta, shoot your shot.
Yeah.
And he leaped over, the running back. That'll probably be on their little highlight tape, and he got a sack. That was a big play. And look, I think he made a couple other plays from the linebacker position. So I think for him to make some big plays, because I know sometimes that, when you play inferior teams, and I don't think Cincinnati was obviously as bad as these, but when you're playing in some game, and this is first, and I'll give him a little pass because it's his first game in Nebraska when we play Cincinnati, but then you play two inferior teams, sometimes when they're playing a lot of linebackers, sometimes you can press to make big plays.
Sure.
I think the best thing he was able to do probably got what, Coach Dvorak, and they just said, listen, just go out there and do it. You don't make the play that he made if the coach don't believe in you, because it gives you the green light and the faith to make that play.
That's a staff member we don't talk about a whole lot. We mentioned Coach Braden. We mentioned Addison Williams because he's a new addition. We mentioned all the offensive guys. It is Rob Dvorak has just quietly built that room, improved that room, And as a unit, they've played pretty well so far through 3 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I think they got some sneaky and quiet depth there. I think with Dawson Merritt and Bauer didn't play that much. He looked like he had a sleeve on, so he might be banged up a little bit. You got to think he's a bonus.
But like when you bring in like Willis McGahee into that conversation and McColl, like Rob Dvorak's a guy that's he's a younger guy also.
No, Dvorak doesn't coach.
Not McGahee. Edge guys, excuse me. Yeah.
But when you look at, Shavers, Jamin Wright, Dawson Merritt, Watson Trent, then you throw in, Bauer there. Now, essentially they played 2 stack linebackers, right? Conventional linebackers, right? Like what I play. So then now you got 5 guys there.
Which, by the way, Vincent Shavers, the name we didn't hear a whole lot about today. Which, I mean, I'm not saying that for any reason on either side.
I'm going to tell you the hardest.
We haven't seen the best of Vincent yet.
I'm going to tell you what this game is equivalent to. This is equivalent to, in the NFL, being a starter. And I used to get frustrated. And I remember this like it was yesterday because Greg Williams was my coach. I was going into contract year, and you're out there, and they're like, okay, the starters are going to play 12 plays. Or the number 1 D. Well, that includes nickel.
Yeah.
And then it's a preseason game, and next thing you know, boom, you're done because because you're playing the teams that you're playing aren't very good. Vincent will make his plays, and everybody will make his plays. I think when they get into money time, I think next week is going to tell you more than anything about the rotation.
That's more so what I meant by saying that we didn't hear anything from him today was simply because they didn't get a ton of opportunities, and I say that in an actual positive light of. We have yet to see the best of Vincent Shavers in 2025, I think.
Well, I think the biggest thing from him is like consistency. We know you can make the splash plays, right? You saw it right on the display against Cincinnati. Now we need to play in and play out. And that could be filling the gap and taking on a guard with the right leverage and then getting off that guard or lineman and making a play. It could be taking away the initial read and pass coverage, and the quarterback has to go to, the second or third read. And our defensive line gets there, kind of like Riley Van Poppel gets a sack for a fumble. So those are the little things that will take Vincent from right here to up there and reach his potential.
Once again, 402-464-5685, the Honda Lincoln hotline, the Starter Heyman text line. Jay and I will be here for about 10 to 15 more minutes or so. And before we hand things off to Austin and Rudy, a scoreboard update from around the country. In Knoxville, Tennessee is on top of 6th-ranked Georgia, 21-14, just a little under halfway through the second quarter. In that one, UTEP trails Texas early on 7-0. Miami and South Florida just got underway. Miami looks to be driving, though. They're tied up scoreless 0-0 there. Penn State just took a 13-0 lead over Villanova. They have 6 minutes to go in the second quarter. Some scores from earlier in the day. We have, how about Georgia Tech knocking off Clemson at Georgia Tech? Dabo Sweeney and the Clemson Tigers, I believe, 1-2 on the campaign now. So Georgia Tech and Hayes King, the quarterback there, with a big win earlier today. Alabama with a convincing 38-14 victory over Luke Fickell and the Wisconsin Badgers. Oklahoma went on the road to Temple and beat Temple 42-3. Oregon wins by 20 over Northwestern on the road, 34-14. Obviously, big games tonight as well. You have Illinois, Western Michigan, Arkansas, Ole Miss, which Jay likes the Razorbacks potentially in that one a little bit against the Hottie Toddy. And some other interesting games. Obviously, LSU, Florida tonight, Texas A&M, Notre Dame, and the Bud Crawford Canelo fight all going on tonight. This is a big weekend, couple of weeks in Lincoln, Jay. I don't know if you know everything going on. You're pretty tuned and caught up with what's going on around the capital city. So do you know the singer Cody Johnson?
I do not.
Okay, country singer, pretty popular. 2 nights at Pinnacle Bank Arena, last night and tonight. You have Husker volleyball last night, tonight. Husker football tonight. Next week, Jason Aldean. Are you familiar with him at all? Jason Aldean?
Yeah. I've seen,
okay, country singer. He's at Pinnacle Bank Arena next weekend. Husker volleyball once again. Husker football, Michigan. It's a big couple of weeks in the capital city.
Yeah,
big for the economy.
It'd be like a lot of country folk coming in here.
What did the former president say? Helps everybody.
Yeah.
Hurts nobody.
Hey, the best dude was that African president. He said, "Listen, he said corruption is only good when I'm involved." That's exactly what I'm talking about. It's only ever good when I'm involved.
Let's preview Michigan, Nebraska on the other side of the Jay Foreman postgame show.
Join LES at 6 p.m. Thursday, October 9th at the LES Operations Center to learn about the utilities' proposed 2026 budget and electric rates and share your input at the annual public meeting. Learn more at les.com.
Things that impair you come in many different shapes and sizes. Some are the shape of beer and liquor bottles. Others look like cigarettes but aren't cigarettes at all. These are the things we know impair us, the things our parents warned us about. What we're not always aware of is our new prescription or the over-the-counter medicine we picked up just for allergies or a bad cold. See, it doesn't just matter how much of a substance you take. If you are impaired, driving is deceptively dangerous. Don't drive impaired. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Get in and win with Limitless Male Medical, the men's health experts. We are the proven leaders in testosterone and peptide therapy. Don't play around with a sub-shop franchise that just popped up. At Limitless Male, this is serious medicine. Full lab panels, real providers, years of experience focused only on men's health. Don't be fooled by crash course owners. Trust the team that knows hormones inside and out. Limitless Male Medical. Your health is not a game.
Rico here with HIS Auto Care at 70th and Van Dorn, letting you know HIS is a great place to bring your vehicle for service. With superior service, bumper to bumper, we'll treat your vehicle like it's your mother's. Doesn't get any better than that. So call 402-488-8934 and HIS Auto will make you glad you did. 5% off, mention this ad, and for sure your mother will be proud you called. 402-488-8934, HIS Auto Care, 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
Select Plumbing and Utility has been serving Lincoln and the surrounding area for 14 years, and they're not slowing down. Select Plumbing and Utility handles all your plumbing needs from faucets and water heaters to full renovations, and they can even help with your heating and cooling needs. They're also Lincoln's underground experts, repairing and replacing broken underground water and sewer lines since day one. Contact Select Plumbing and Utility today at 402-560-6197, assuring excellence in every situation, opportunity, and challenge. That's 402-560-6197.
The party is back on in Lincoln this fall, and there's no party like the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show. Join the whole ticket crew for 2.5 hours of pregame coverage before every home and away game this football season as they get you ready for the game. It's the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show at our downtown studio at 11th and O. Sponsored by Select Plumbing, Raising Cane's, Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits, Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, Currency, and the Kindler Hotel.
Okay, friends, if you haven't seen the new TV and audio experiences at Schaefer's, you are seriously missing out. They just got a glow up, and it's a whole vibe. We're talking custom frame TVs, invisible speakers, and plenty of giant TV options. And there may or may not be cold brew on tap in the kegerator. Whether you're designing a man cave, a lady lounge, or just a really good movie night, this is a great place to start. Come check out the new showrooms only at Schaefer's, local, trusted, and cooler than ever.
Husker fans, on the field, every yard counts. At home, every drop does too. That's why Coligan, your game day water sponsor, is giving you $300 off a whole home water system. Rather rent? Score big with Coligan for just $9.95 a month for your first 3 months. Huddle up at ColiganHuskers.com to grab this exclusive offer. That's ColiganHuskers.com. It's soft water that protects your home, cleaner, great tasting drinking water for the win, and the refresh you need to cheer loud all season long. Get water you'll love at ColiganHuskers.com.
Limited time offer, participating dealers, restrictions may apply. Your business runs like a well-oiled machine. It's important that your actual machines do too. Stern is here to make sure you don't have to worry about that. They provide solutions for heavy equipment and automotive fuels, lubricants, and equipment guard options. And with Stern's commitment to customer service for the past 40 years, you know you have a partner to help support your operations for years to come. Contact Roger at Stern Company by calling 1-800-477-2744 or visit them online at stern.co. Stern Company, where problems meet solvers.
Things that impair you come in many different shapes and sizes. Some are the shape of beer and liquor bottles. Others look like cigarettes but aren't cigarettes at all. These are the things we know impair us, the things our parents warned us about. What we're not always aware of is our new prescription, or the over-the-counter medicine we picked up just for allergies or a bad cold. See, it doesn't just matter how much of a substance you take. If you are impaired, driving is deceptively dangerous. Don't drive impaired. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
At Jimmy John's, we don't make sandwiches. We make the sandwich of sandwiches. We use fresh veggies because we don't hate salads. We just feel bad for them. We make our sandwiches exactly how you want because you're the one who's eating it. And we bake bread all day, every day because stale bread isn't bread. It's croutons. Sandwich history is written by the victors. Good thing we have legible handwriting. Jimmy John's, the sandwich of sandwiches. Order pickup or delivery on the app.
Back to the Jay Foreman Postgame Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Powered by Baumgars, Anderson Ford, and Vinny Kreekak of State Farm Insurance. Here are your hosts, Jay Foreman and Nick Sainer.
One quick segment before we turn over to my man Rudy and Austin Norman, Jay Foreman Postgame Show. We want to give a big shout out to Anderson Ford of Lincoln, Vinny Kreekak, State Farm, and Baumgars.
There you go.
Everything you need to get your farm ready, Nick. Tools for fall projects. Get ready for winter. You need to get ready because I'm throwing you in the snowbank. But yeah, on the Michigan.
I'd stay on my feet.
Hey man, it's on to Michigan, man.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, exciting time. I mean, it's exciting, right? Like we all did the whole song and dance these last 2 weeks where it's like, all right, got to get.
It's been the hardest thing to do.
Essentially, I mean, saying it without saying it, got to get through these 2 games, and then it's on to the one that everybody wants to talk about. And now we're here, right? Like it's firmly Michigan next week.
Yeah. Well, it's not even next week. It's Michigan
Today.
right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, sure, enjoy it, right? But also, as you enjoy it, think to Michigan. It's gonna be for everybody on this team, including Dane Key, who played in the SEC. This is gonna be a different week, and you better get ready right now. In the meaning, the pressure, the anxiety, the want to win, to get over a hurdle. Even though, again, I don't think Michigan is anything that Nebraska, needs. We got to play our best. You got to go just play good football. But still, you got to go out there and beat them. It's their first game opponent, and the 4th game into the season.
Well, and in a completely off the field storyline, it's a big deal. Next weekend is going to shape up to be a very, very important recruiting weekend. Nebraska extended. I just saw an article written by a mutual friend of ours, Greg Smith of Rivals, one of the national guys, and he just wrote an article talking about how recruits that were recently offered by Nebraska over the last couple of weeks, they're planning to make the trip to Lincoln. Nebraska's going to have a lot of already committed guys in town. It's important what Nebraska does on the field for a multitude of reasons. It's shaping up to be a massive recruiting weekend for the Huskers.
Yeah, it's a big weekend. It's you got to have your mind right. You got to be extremely focused. You can't have revisionist history. You're thinking about what you did the last 2 weeks or even the last 3 weeks. That is gone. This is Michigan week. It is literally hitting a hard reset, and you better be in hyper speed to go out there and beat them because every play will count. And that's the biggest difference between the last 3 weeks and next week.
Jay, 3-0.
3-0. Look at us.
I mean, here's the thing. I opened the show with it. Second straight year of being 3-0.
There you go.
But if you take away last year, they hadn't been 3-0 since 2016. I mean, that's we're talking about approaching a decade. Nice, Mike. That was his 7-0 start.
Grandpa Mike.
There you go.
There you go.
But no, I think when you look at Nebraska though, took care of business. Like that's the approach we had going into it. The first 3 games, take care of business, no surprises, and that's what they've done.
Yeah, and business as usual. Again, 6:00. Get your dinner on the Michigan.
There you go. 20 seconds. Send it away.
We'll holler at you next week. Jay Foreman Postgame Show. Anderson Ford, Vinny Kreekak, and Baumgars. Appreciate your support. Love you guys, except Nick. We out of here. See you next week.
Anderson Ford in Lincoln has 2 convenient locations, which means 2 times the customer service, 2 times the inventory, and 2 times the ability to get you in the car of your dreams. Whether you visit us on the north side or the south side, you'll find more selection and a team that's always on your side. When you're looking for a better way to buy your next Ford, visit Anderson Ford in Lincoln, where exceptional service meets unbeatable selection.
Experience an electric vehicle firsthand at LES's EV Ride and Drive, September 28th at the LES Operations Center. Registration is open now, but spots are limited. Visit les.com/drive to reserve your drive.
You've been accused of a crime and don't know where to turn. At Liberty Law Group, we understand that a call to an attorney is a call for help. If you're up against the legal system, you need an attorney you can trust to handle your case with professionalism and compassion. Liberty Law's experienced trial attorneys are committed to the defense of liberty for those accused. Don't let a criminal charge ruin your life. Call Liberty Law Group at 877-42-LIBERTY. Advocates you need, trial attorneys you can trust. That's 877-42-LIBERTY.
Nutrition Authority invites you to check out the all-new Epic Effects. Epic Effects is designed to blast body fat, curb cravings, and provide the smooth energy to get you through the day. Home of free samples and better than internet pricing, Epic Effects can only be found at Nutrition Authority. For store info, visit mynutritionauthority.com.
Nebraska fans, it's game day in downtown Lincoln. Big Ten Sports Bar is your ultimate spot to catch Nebraska football and volleyball, with every game on every screen all day long. Today, they're bringing the party with Sidetrack Band all day long, and Velvet Crush takes over tonight. Doors open bright and early at 8 a.m. Grab breakfast, stay for the game, and keep the night going with full kitchen open until midnight. Big Ten Sports Bar, downtown Lincoln's home for Nebraska sports, bands, good food, and drinks.
Nebco is hiring CDL drivers for ready-mixed concrete in Lincoln. With 3 plants across the city, there are plenty of opportunities to start or grow your driving career. They offer great pay, medical and retirement benefits, paid time off, and they cover the cost of CDL training. Apply today and receive a $2,500 hiring bonus. Since 1908, it's the employees that have formed the company's solid foundation. Start your career today with ready-mixed concrete. Visit nebcoinc.com. That's nebcoinc.com.
Okay, friends, if you haven't seen the new TV and audio experiences at Schaefer's, you are seriously missing out. They just got a glow up, and it's a whole vibe. We're talking custom frame TVs, invisible speakers, and plenty of giant TV options. And there may or may not be cold brew on tap in the kegerator. Whether you're designing a man cave, a lady lounge, or just a really good movie night, this is a great place to start. Come check out the new showrooms only at Schaefer's, local, trusted, and cooler than ever.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
This fall, Baumgars has everything you need to get your farm ready for the season. Stock up on livestock feed, deer corn, and pine shavings to keep your animals fed and your farm running smoothly. Need tools for your fall projects? Grab DeWalt power tools and grass seed to keep your fields in top shape before winter. From your barn to your backyard, Baumgars has you covered. Get ready for the season with everything you need to finish those fall fix-ups. Baumgars, field, farm, and fall fix-ups.
Anderson Ford in Lincoln has 2 convenient locations, which means 2 times the customer service, 2 times the inventory, and 2 times the ability to get you in the car of your dreams. Whether you visit us on the north side or the south side, you'll find more selection and a team that's always on your side. When you're looking for a better way to buy your next Ford, visit Anderson Ford in Lincoln, where exceptional service meets unbeatable selection.
Are you facing a legal problem and don't know where to turn? You need trial attorneys you can trust. Liberty Law Group's experienced trial attorneys will handle your case with professionalism and compassion. Whether you've been accused of a crime, injured in an accident, or threatened with a lawsuit, you can trust that Liberty Law will be there for you. Call to find out how Liberty Law can help you. Call 877-42-LIBERTY. Call the trial attorneys you can trust. 877-42-LIBERTY.
Hungry for something real? Come to HF Crave, Lincoln's favorite spot for burgers that are anything but basic. Locally sourced Nebraska beef, hand-cut fries, and bold flavors that'll make your taste buds cheer. Whether you're craving the classics or ready to try something wild, they've got the burger that gets you. HF Crave. Fresh, local, craveable. Find them at 48th and Holdridge or order online at hfcrave.com.
At Jimmy John's, we don't make sandwiches. We make the sandwich of sandwiches. We use fresh veggies because we don't hate salads. We just feel bad for them. We make our sandwiches exactly how you want because you're the one who's eating it. And we bake bread all day, every day because stale bread isn't bread. It's croutons. Sandwich history is written by the victors. Good thing we have legible handwriting. Jimmy John's, the sandwich of sandwiches. Order pickup or delivery on the app.
Welcome to the Husker After Party postgame show.
2 tight ends in the game as well. Raiola with time. There's Nelson. He's got it, and he's into the end zone for the first time in his career. Touchdown, Nebraska.
The Husker After Party postgame show is brought to you by Anderson Ford, Baumgars, and Vinny Kreekak of State Farm Insurance.
Ramir Johnson in the game at running back. This is a flip to Ja'Cory Barney. He waits for his block, and he steps in for the touchdown. Second down, done, intercepted. Malcolm Hartzog is second of the year.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Yeah, I think you take everything with like a grain of salt, right? Like we haven't played a, the caliber teams we're going to play. But all you can do is measure yourself against, where you are and the standards that you have. I thought we played an excellent game. The first game in a lot of areas, or some things that just, and some of those things are still showing up, like the field goal on the first drive, and our ability to push the ball through the red zone and all that. So we're going to continue to have to get better. So I don't think it's great. I'm not a big, sometimes you hear me say the word like narratives and all that, but I think that's true for coaches. Coaches, sometimes we have narratives. Oh, we're doing this well. Just take it, watch the tape. This is good. This isn't good. And then some things that look like they're good right now aren't going to be as good versus, a different opponent. So, you just have to keep reacting as the year goes on. I think we're obviously a significantly better team than we have been. But the road gets a lot harder. If we stay where we are right now, we won't win a lot of games moving forward. We have to improve. And so this was improvement from last week. I thought the week of preparation was excellent. I said that to you guys the other day. I said, we'll have to wait and see how the game is. And I thought the focus on Friday into Friday night wasn't always elite. After I had said that, it was kind of and it was really more young guys. And I thought the older guys, I have to single out guys like Sierra and Marquise and Deshaun and the whole O-line and Dylan, kept bringing it back to, hey, this is the standard that we have. And, I thought a lot of guys did a lot of really good things. So we have a long way to go, but, to be 3-0 and to play a Power 4 team and dominate the 2 teams we're supposed to dominate, that's all I can ask of the guys.
Perspective from Nebraska head football coach Matt Rule as Nebraska beats Houston Christian 59-7, advancing to, as the head coach said, 3-0 on this young, now quarter of the way done, 2025 regular season. Welcome in. It is the Husker After Party post-game show, 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Austin Norman, Rudy Grace with you for as long as you want to hang out. 402-464-5685. Any residual thoughts on the game, anything, any players on your mind, let us know. Again, 402-464-5685. Or for those of you watching on stream via Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, comments up and open for you. Drop them there. We will hang out until you are out of things to say. We don't really run out of things to say, but if you do, we will we'll call it a day and we'll get back to you with more thoughts after the weekend. Rudy, Nebraska wins at 59-7. Let's do some quick math here. If my math is correct, 59 plus 68 points last week is going to end up being 127-7. Nebraska has outscored its last 2 opponents. Your takeaways from Nebraska, even in light of what Matt Rule said in that post-game clip there.
Yeah, no, I think it's real important to yes, you're happy with the win. Yes, giving up 7 points in 8 quarters of football is something you're never going to take for granted. And it's showing, because a lot of these games, they are going to be super high scoring and you do face the lower competition. But on the other end, your defense making plays that should be made is also something awesome you can take away. So I'm glad with that. But I think he's right. Yes, you're going to be happy with it. You can learn a lot from these games regardless. But I am super glad to hear that it's not just something like, oh yeah, we're 3-0. It's like he's not buying into what's truly happening just yet. Just like I think we are in here too. Like you are happy with the 3-0 start. You'd be a lot worse off if it was any other record, but he knows that it's also just getting started. He knows that this doesn't indicate a lot of what the season's going to be like off the bat. So I like that he's keeping it real, but he's also proud of where we're at, and I'm the exact same way.
He sounds excited. He sounds happy. He sounds proud. He does not sound satisfied.
Yes.
We heard that from Dylan Raiola in postgame as well, that the message at halftime was very similar from Matt Rule today as it was last week. And in fact, let's hear from Dylan Raiola. He was asked about that in the postgame. What was the difference or the similarities in the message? Here's QB1.
Yeah, it was the same thing. I mean, he didn't get on us. He didn't rip us. He just explained that you have a team like this. You guys know, like we came in, we didn't feel like it was our best half of football, and we just wanted to go back out there and kind of prove it that we can play better football. So, going back out there and those guys held up their end. So it was a successful win.
Again, 59-7, hard to pick apart too much of what the Nebraska offense did. Let's start there, Rudy, an offense that puts up, we'll give them credit for 52 points with the 7 points on the scoop and score, courtesy of the defense. 2 weeks in a row, seems like Nebraska's offense has been clicking only, I say only in a little bit of jest, 554 yards for Nebraska this week. Started out pretty well. I mean, Nebraska does settle for a field goal on the opening drive, then a bunch of touchdowns after that to go into halftime. A little bit of a stall at the end of the first half. Matt Rule pretty aggressive in using his timeouts, wanting his offense to get a chance at the 2-minute look. Didn't necessarily go the way Nebraska had planned, and because of that, I would have expected to see Nebraska's starters back on the field to start the second half. They don't make that call. They go to the backups. Kind of your thoughts on that decision?
Yeah, I think you want to be aggressive there, and I think I think that might have been why he was trying to get that, knowing that they probably aren't going to be coming back out, because I think he did. Rule in his post conference also said like that was kind of his plan regardless. He wanted the backups to kind of have the mindset of like, I'm going in, let me prepare for it. So I think that's why he was being more aggressive with those timeouts. But I think they did play extremely well. Obviously, you're never going to be mad with how many points you dropped in that first half today. But I think it does show that like the way they're seeing the game, it's not just, oh, we came in 38-0, we're on top of the world. It's like, okay, like Raiola talked about it in there too. Like he has passes he wish he would have had back. Like these guys aren't just satisfied right now, and I think that's something that you kind of would see a lot, especially have a team like Nebraska that hasn't had the success of Georgia or big teams that do this every single weekend, it seems. So I'm super excited to be bought in right now. I'm buying in full stock, but I think it's real evident of where they're at as a program to be able to bench their starters going into that second half with like full confidence.
Dylan Raiola, another good week for him. 15 of 21 through the air, 222 yards, 2 touchdowns. Nebraska's backups play pretty well again as well. TJ Lateef, Jalen Graham said a combined 8 of 8. They go for 140 yards and a touchdown. That was, of course, Lateef to Mills. The receiving core again, 1, 2, 3, 4 players with 3 or more catches, another 3 with 2 catches, and 4 other players record a catch as well. That's 11 different receivers that combined for 23 catches, 362 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Leading the way for Nebraska today, Dane Key, 4 catches, 104 yards, and a touchdown for him. If it was not the 40-yarder that went for a touchdown, he got caught with a slightly underthrown ball into the wind from Dylan Raiola. Rudy, through 3 weeks, what have you liked from Dane Key, the senior transfer from Kentucky?
Yeah, I think last week he didn't have a game that was worth like blowing up about, and that's gonna happen. You're not gonna drop 104 on 4 catches every week. But I think like that, like the way that Raiola also talked about him, that he was like relaxed going into the game. He said that his main goal, Key said, was to just have fun. And it's like, those are the things that you do want to be hearing. And I'm glad he's looking at it like that versus, oh, I could be doing more. I should be doing more. It's like, he's perfectly fine with the role and the talent they have to be able to build off of that. So I like what I'm seeing from him.
4 for 104 today. He's been steady and reliable. I like that Nebraska is using him in a bunch of different ways. Obviously outside, they'll line him up inside as well. Career day for Cortez Mills, 3 catches for 98 yards, including the long 62-yard touchdown. That's one, Rudy, that, that's one of the things you see sometimes when backups get into games. They get their moment, they get their opportunity to shine. We'll start with TJ Lateef's second week in a row. He comes in, he balls out 126 yards on 5 completions, almost half of that on that one to Cortez Mills. But what do you make of TJ Lateef, his connection with some of those backup wide receivers?
Yeah, you can see that they're definitely giving those reps of practice a lot more too. Like those connections don't just happen because that guy's open. It's like they're building this off the field and it's showing on the field as well. I like what I'm seeing from him. Like, even with the rushing ability, like he's someone that you can see the defense has to shift a little bit from what Raiola does, which is perfectly fine. But with Latif back there, it's like, okay, like now they can't fully send the house back to cover the passers or the receivers because now he can scramble. And I think like that opens up an entire new scheme they have with him on the field, at least. Obviously, we're probably not going to see him a ton more like this once conference play starts. But for what I'm seeing from him right now, I'm really in on his promise moving forward.
3 rushes, 15 yards, and a touchdown as well for TJ Latif. And then in the running back room, you saw the leading rusher on the day, Quentin Ives. He overtakes Emmett Johnson in the second half. Johnson goes 13 carries, 78 yards, 2 touchdowns with a long of 17 on the day, averaging an even 6 yards per pop. But Quentin Ives, that's a guy that this coaching staff has been really high on for a while. He's running back 4, not even on the 2 deep in the initial depth chart. He got the bulk of the carries early on in the second half today. I thought Quentin Ives looked probably the most explosive he's looked at Nebraska. Long run of 20, had 2 catches for 36 yards, long of 21 as well. Again, take, like Matt Rule said, the competition with a grain of salt. But I think today you really got to see the flashes from Quentin Ives that this coaching staff has been looking for.
Yeah, especially with some of that injury report we were getting early on in the season on him. Like, these are the things you want to see against those lower competitions. Make sure he's healthy, make sure he's good. And it's like, if he goes off for 85 yards and a touchdown, it's like, okay, we're going to be perfectly happy with that too. So I think it was a great showing for him for sure, especially, like you said, coming out of that 4 spot that he's in right now. So I think he needed today, and I think it showed. I think it's something that Husker fans can definitely have some promise in as well.
402-464-5685. We'd love to know your offensive and or defensive players of the game. Hit us up on our Starter Heyman Jewelers text line as always. Our post-game show brought to you in part by Anderson Ford of Lincoln. Experience better with upfront market-based pricing at Anderson Auto Group of Lincoln, located 2 different places in Lincoln, 27th and I-80, as well as 33rd and Yankee Hill. Rudy, a big talking point among Nebraska fans, and sounds like Nebraska football after week 1 against Cincinnati, was the lack of explosive plays. Some of that, of course, due to Cincinnati's defensive scheme. Dan Holgerson talked about being relatively pleased with Nebraska taking what the defense gave it in week 1. But since then, we saw Nebraska rack up 500 yards on explosive plays last week, another 15 explosive plays, 10 in the pass game and 5 in the rushing game. Quentin Ives had 4 of those in the running game, runs a 10, 14, 20, and 17. Emmett Johnson had the other. But then it was sharing the love in the explosive passing game, an average of 26.7 yards per explosive pass play, which is a gain of 15 plus through the air. How have you seen Nebraska maybe get better and get more explosive in these last 2 games since the opening win against Cincinnati?
Yeah, I think they're definitely having a lot of plays that go for a lot more yards, like you're saying, the 15 yards, the explosive plays. But I think one thing that stands out to me about them too is like, it's like when I think of explosive plays, obviously you're going to go to the highlight plays, the ball that goes 40 yards in the air. But a lot of what they're doing right now to create these is just making the right plays and then letting whatever happens after that, like then they're going off of that. Like a lot of these passes that Raiola had 4 touchdowns, or not 4 touchdowns. He had 4 touchdown scores, if that makes sense. Same wordage. But anyways, he's hitting the right guy in the right spot. And then from there, they're able to make a play off of that. So I think, like, yes, you want to be able to have those explosive plays, but I think the way they're doing it's very safe, but in a way where it's like they trust their guys to get in the open field. So I like it. I mean, I was one of those people who after week 1, I was like, I want to see them score some more points. I want to see them get some more yardage. And it's definitely happening as you're seeing. So like you said, take it with a grain of salt, but they're definitely looking more aggressive for sure.
I think that you brought up is the important part, is that it's not Nebraska just chucking and ducking.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not, hey, go run and go route. If it's not there, well, we'll throw it down the field, hope you come up with it anyways. That's what I've been impressed about, is the yards after catch and some of that athleticism coming through for Nebraska. Trying to pull up their official numbers again here. Yeah, Dane Key, of his 104 yards, 37 of it came after catch, including on the touchdown. Cortez Mills on his ended up with 16 yards after the catch. Isaiah Mosey, 32 yards after the catch on 26 yards overall. So went backwards on one of them. Corey Barney Jr., 21 yards after catch out of his 22 yards. Half of Quentin Ives' yards came after the catch as well. So when you look at that for Nebraska, I think that's going to be, hopefully, for the Huskers and their playmakers, their sustainable advantage, that they're doing what Dana Holgerson wanted them to do, saying, hey, guys, we know you're good athletes. We know you have it in you. You know, be strong enough to break a tackle. Be elusive enough to break a tackle, because it's never a consistently reliable way to count on big plays, is when you just sit back and say, hey, quarterback, go create this for us. throw it down to a one-on-one matchup for your receiver against your defensive back. That's where I've been really impressed with Isaiah Mosey. Had the long punt return, showed some of that ability. Quentin Ives broke it out for the first time in a while. The guy that I do want to see get going a little bit more in that area, I know all but one of his yards were after the catch today, but that's Ja'Cory Barney Jr. Good player, potentially still hampered by the first hit that he took of the season against Cincinnati, which, could have been a backbreaker. That was a nasty looking hit. I'm still waiting to see Ja'Cory Barney Jr. come up with a big play in the open field in, traditional offense, right? We saw him do it a little bit in special teams last week, especially, but it just seems like Ja'Cory Barney Jr. is always one step away, one player he has to make miss away. Maybe it's one missed block. Maybe he's just a little hesitant. Could he get upfield a little bit quicker and split between the block? Because that's a guy that I think is going to have to thrive on some of that yards after contact. Clearly, he's still, a favorite target for Dylan Raiola, despite all the weapons that Nebraska has on that offense. But man, I would really love to see Ja'Cory Barney Jr. show some of that game-breaking shiftiness, maybe a la Wan'Dale Robinson. I'm not asking for the Ryan Williams stuff. I mean, go check out that guy's highlights against Wisconsin from today. That is sick generational kind of stuff out of Ryan Williams. But I'm curious to see if there's anything more in the tank for Ja'Cory Barney Jr. in that department.
Yeah, I think there is more in the tank for sure. They were talking about it today. Like, he had his first touchdown today, and you could see
first receiving touchdown.
Yes,
Did have three rushing.
First receiving touchdown, but you could tell like the way that offensive drive was built. They were trying to target him so much on that drive, which is awesome because I'm sure Rule sees it the same way, where it's like we need to get this guy going, and it's just like baseball too. Like, we're both baseball fans. Like, you could be doing everything right, but until you get that first hit to the land, it's like, okay, now I'm in a groove. And I think that's kind of what they're going for here. He's obviously an explosive player when he has the ball in his hands, but to be able to create that for him and get him in the end zone on that, I think it is what he needed. So I do want to see more out of him, but I'm not too skeptical of it yet. I think he's going to be just fine, obviously. I'm not saying you're worried or anything, but I think today's probably going to be something that is going to help him down the line moving forward.
We'll have to see, because I think that's a piece that Nebraska can move all over the field. I do like that Nebraska hasn't necessarily pigeonholed its receivers. Ja'Cory Barney Jr., we saw them play outside last year, probably better on the inside, but in a pinch can move outside. Isaiah Hunter's been primarily outside, but Dane Key won't always be the receiver closest to the boundary. And I think that flexibility, that versatility is going to be key for Nebraska moving forward. Speaking of that, we heard Dana Holgorsen talk a lot about Carter Nelson this week, said he looks good. Look for him to play a role moving forward. Maybe he's still, coming back from those hip injuries, not something easy to do by any stretch of the imagination. He was a pick to click for a couple different guys on our pregame show today. Didn't see much of him. He was one of the players that did not have a catch for Nebraska. It's only 3 games into the year, but at the same time, it's already 3 games into the year. Carter Nelson, bit of a breakout pick for a lot of people before the year. Are you concerned at all that we haven't seen more Carter Nelson on the field through 3 games?
I would say concerned probably is the word I'd go with, because it's one of those things where a lot of these other tight ends that we are having in there are actually making some plays where it's like, okay, they're separating themselves, and it's like you do want to see him get the chance to do that as well. But at the same time, the play of our tight ends right now has been very helpful to the success we're having. So I mean, I think it does. I do want to see him out there a little more, but it's also a tough room they have right now, in my opinion.
It really is. And I think part of that is due to the development of Luke Lindenmeyer into what looks like a legitimate, Big Ten tight end number 1. But then it comes down to the discussion around Heinrich Harburg, who's been out there, hasn't been a huge factor. He sprung Emmett Johnson for the touchdown last week, the 47-yarder, threw another pretty big block today. But I think we still need to see some growth from Heinrich Harburg. And it makes sense, right? He's only 3, maybe 4 games if you count Boston College at the end of last year into playing the tight end position in college. Maybe he's got a future in it. Maybe he doesn't. But you would have liked to have seen, consistent improvement, consistent progress from Heinrich Harburg, and found ways for him to make a consistent impact on the game. When you move him to that position, when you like the athlete that he is quite that much. I'm not saying there's not a breakout in store for him. I still think he just has plenty of work to do. And I think at this point, counting on Heinrich Harburg to be a productive tight end might be too much. He can be out there. He can hold his own. But I think anything Nebraska gets in the receiving game out of Heinrich Harburg moving forward through Big Ten play, I think is just going to be a cherry on top.
Yeah, I agree. I've obviously all offseason you're hearing how that transition's been so smooth and how Obviously, it came with some hiccups here and there, but how they are big on him. But I agree. Like, right now, I don't think he's doing anything that really amazes me in terms of just the ability he had. Like, he is picking up some good blocks. The block he had today to get the touchdown in there, I liked it. He was in the right spot at the right time, and it paid off. But I think that he does need to separate himself just as well, too.
And if he's not going to, Carter Nelson, either pass him or, hey, what do you got to do to improve? Let's take our first break of the after party. He's Rudy. I'm Austin. This segment has been brought to you by Anderson Ford of Lincoln. Again, keep your thoughts, your comments rolling in 402-464-5685. We're here as long as you are. We'll be back with more after party in a moment. Hungry for something real? Come to HF Crave, Lincoln's favorite spot for burgers that are anything but basic. Locally sourced Nebraska beef, hand-cut fries, and bold flavors that'll make your taste buds cheer. Whether you're craving the classics or ready to try something wild, they've got the burger that gets you. HF Crave. Fresh, local, craveable. Find them at 48th and Holdridge or order online at hfcrave.com.
Stonebrook Exterior is your trusted partner in exterior solutions for both residential and commercial projects across Lincoln and Omaha. With over 2 decades of expertise, they deliver everything your building needs, all under one roof. From roofing and siding to gutters, wall systems, custom masonry, and metalwork, Stonebrook handles it all with precision, safety, and professionalism. Take the worry out of your exterior projects. Choose Stonebrook Exterior, where quality, safety, and service come together seamlessly. Visit StonebrookExterior.com or call 402-438-5559 to get your free quote today.
I can't believe I just scratched that car. Find my insurance card.
Dude, what do you have in this glove box? Ew, are these socks dirty?
Oh, forget about the socks. I need my insurance card.
Just pull it up on the State Farm mobile app.
But I can do that? Oh, hey, I can do that.
Yep, it's called service.
I can file a claim on here too?
Yeah, it's called service.
Whoa, I can call my agent too?
It's called service.
Call your local State Farm agent, Vinny Krikak, today at 402-474-1173.
Husker fans, on the field, every yard counts. At home, every drop does too. That's why Colligan, your game day water sponsor, is giving you $300 off a whole home water system. Rather rent? Score big with Colligan for just $9.95 a month for your first 3 months. Huddle up at ColliganHuskers.com to grab this exclusive offer. That's ColliganHuskers.com. It's soft water that protects your home, cleaner, great-tasting drinking water for the win, and the refresh you need to cheer loud all season long. Get water you'll love at ColliganHuskers.com.
Limited time offer. Participating dealers. Restrictions may apply.
This fall, Baumgars has everything you need to get your farm ready for the season. Stock up on livestock feed, deer corn, and pine shavings to keep your animals fed and your farm running smoothly. Need tools for your fall projects? Grab DeWalt power tools and grass seed to keep your fields in top shape before winter. From your barn to your backyard, Baumgars has you covered. Get ready for the season with everything you need to finish those fall fix-ups. Baumgars, field, farm, and fall fix-ups.
You've been accused of a crime and don't know where to turn. At Liberty Law Group, we understand that a call to an attorney is a call for help. If you're up against the legal system, you need an attorney you can trust to handle your case with professionalism and compassion. Liberty Law's experienced trial attorneys are committed to the defense of liberty for those accused. Don't let a criminal charge ruin your life. Call Liberty Law Group at 877-42-LIBERTY. Advocates you need, trial attorneys you can trust. That's 877-42-LIBERTY.
Select Plumbing and Utility has been serving Lincoln and the surrounding area for 14 years, and they're not slowing down. Select Plumbing and Utility handles all your plumbing needs, from faucets and water heaters to full renovations, and they can even help with your heating and cooling needs. They're also Lincoln's underground experts, repairing and replacing broken underground water and sewer lines since day one. Contact Select Plumbing and Utility today at 402-560-6197, assuring excellence in every situation, opportunity, and challenge. That's 402-560-6197.
Nebco is hiring CDL drivers for ready-mixed concrete in Lincoln. With 3 plants across the city, there are plenty of opportunities to start or grow your driving career. They offer great pay, medical and retirement benefits, paid time off, and they cover the cost of CDL training. Apply today and receive a $2,500 hiring bonus. Since 1908, it's the employees that have formed the company's solid foundation. Start your career today with Ready Mixed Concrete. Visit nebcoinc.com. That's NEBCOINC.com.
Anderson Ford in Lincoln has 2 convenient locations, which means 2 times the customer service, 2 times the inventory, and 2 times the ability to get you in the car of your dreams. Whether you visit us on the north side or the south side, you'll find more selection and a team that's always on your side. When you're looking for a better way to buy your next Ford, visit Anderson Ford in Lincoln, where exceptional service meets unbeatable selection.
Hey there, this is Paul Scheel, owner of High Electric. I want to thank our friends and loyal customers and introduce High Electric to those looking for a new electrician. We've been serving the Lincoln and Omaha area for over 30 years, from design to install, upgrades, and repair. If you are a homeowner or a small business needing some electrical work, call us at 402-466-6606 or check us out at hyelectric.com. We look forward to hearing from you.
At Jimmy John's, we don't make sandwiches. We make the sandwich of sandwiches. We use fresh veggies because we don't hate salads. We just feel bad for them. We make our sandwiches exactly how you want because you're the one who's eating it. And we bake bread all day, every day because stale bread isn't bread. It's croutons. Sandwich history is written by the victors. Good thing we have legible handwriting. Jimmy John's, the sandwich of sandwiches. Order pickup or delivery on the app.
Welcome back to the Husker After Party Postgame Show. The Husker After Party Postgame Show is brought to you by Anderson Ford, Baumgars, and Vinny Kreekak of State Farm Insurance on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Rolling right along. It is another party in Lincoln. 59-7 Nebraska takes down Houston Christian. Maybe a little bit more muted of a party this week than last. 2 straight blowout wins for the Huskers. Welcome back to the after party. This segment brought to you by Vinny Kreekak of State Farm. Protect yourself from the unexpected. Contact Vinny and his team for a personal price plan to take the guessing out of insurance. Call Vinny and his team today at 402-474-1173. The team with you on the after party, Austin Orman and Rudy Grace. Rudy, let's take a look at the Nebraska defense. Another solid week for that unit. Again, shutout streak of minutes dating back a while to the Cincinnati game officially broken. But on the day for Houston Christian, their starting quarterback, 11 of 18 for 67 yards. That's all 3 opponents held under 70 passing yards. Only 5 receivers get a catch. Leading receiver had 31 yards for Houston Christian. Even the running attack, Edwards had 13 carries, 82 yards, but more than half of that came on the 1 long touchdown run early there in the third quarter. So Nebraska, on aggregate, holds Houston Christian to just 160 yards on the day. Took the Huskies till there's like 10 and a half minutes left in the second quarter to even gain a first down, and that one came via penalty. Overall, your reaction to how Nebraska's defense played against Houston Christian today?
Yeah, no, going into this, I had said too, like, defense is what I kind of focus on in these lopsided matchups. Like, the offense should do what the offense do, but the defense looked elite today. Although Zayshawn Edwards I was really impressed by him. But like you said, a lot of those yards did come on one play that he just happened to misdirect the entire field on, which happens. But I think, like you're saying, like, they had, how many sacks did they come away with today? Not too many, but they were putting so much pressure on in that backfield.
Officially 3 sacks.
Okay, yeah,
for 29 yards.
Gotcha. Yeah, they were putting a lot of pressure in there. Like, they were getting through that line fairly easily today. And I think that's something that they kind of emphasized on, that they wanted the D-line to not be better in that term, but at least be more aggressive and see what they can be capable of doing. And I think Riley Van
Poppel.
There you go.
Out of Argyle.
Yes, he's someone that to start the year, it wasn't bad by any means, but it was a slow start. He even admitted that, but he looked great back there. He had that sack that resulted in a fumble and a turnover for them. So I think you're starting to see these guys who either are stepping up or need to be back to where they are, such as him. And I'm real impressed with the defense. That's kind of been the one thing that it's hard to fake being a good defense no matter who you're playing, in my opinion. You can go down there and score on other bad defenses, but if your defense is elite, it's always going to show. And I think that's what we're seeing here with Nebraska so far.
Been a pretty solid performance. Only 24 points allowed through 3 games. That's 8 points per game for those of you playing at home through 3 games for this Nebraska defense. 8 tackles for loss with a bevy of players rotating through on that defensive line. You mentioned Riley Van Poppel, the beneficent of the strip sack from Riley Van Poppel was Williams Namarni. He gets the scoop and score, able to stay on his feet, take it all the way back. This is pretty incredible hearing from Williams Namarni in postgame, Rudy. apparently, to his recollection, it's his first touchdown ever
Yeah.
in football, regardless of level. Dude's probably been the best player on the field his entire life, and he just finally now got in the end zone in college.
Yeah, I thought that was crazy too. I heard him and he was like reflecting. He was like, literally, no. He's like, yeah, that was probably it. Like, that's crazy to me, just like how elite you can be on defense. And you're like, there's a chance you never even get that ball in your hand sometimes. Like, or at least get the chance to take it in the end zone. Like, that was real interesting to hear for sure.
Even in high school, where he was a dominant player, top 5 overall recruit in the country. For Nebraska, 8 tackles for loss resulted in 42 lost yards for Houston Christian, 3 sacks for negative 29 yards. Of course, that fumble we talked about just there. And then another one forced later in the game, set Nebraska up inside the red zone. Huskers ultimately unable to cash that one in. No points. Huskers went for it on 4th down. Were unable to get it across the goal line. And I want to shout this out. It was Michael Severe tweeted this out. Almost the first time Nebraska had scored 60 points in back-to-back games in the same season since 1907. 1 point away, whether Nebraska have been able to secure a safety in back-to-back weeks, if they settle for the field goal to push them over 60, or best case scenario for most Husker fans, just move the pile. Yeah. Now, granted, it's backups, right? And sure, maybe if the standard's going to be the same, then you got to find a way to punch that in. And you have a short field. We heard Dana Holgerson frustrated about that a couple times last week when Nebraska got the ball inside the 10 and couldn't score. Going to be really curious to hear how Dana Holgerson responds to even the backups not punching it in with maybe the best field position you could ask for when he talks on Tuesday.
Yeah, I had the commentators. I heard them on the broadcasters talking about like, oh, that could be like a sign of respect type of deal. But the way Coach Rule was kind of coaching this game, I don't think it was one of those things. I genuinely think they wanted to get a touchdown there, in my full opinion. So like, yeah, like I think the way this offense is being coached right now is such an aggressive offense, and I'm all for it. Like it's showing that we're going to take risks. We're probably not going to come away with the 60 points. That would have been real cool if they would have got that, because that's a huge amount of years away. But I'm so impressed with what I'm seeing so far. And I hate saying that deep down, but this is a real impressive group we're seeing. Yeah, it's 3 games in. Yeah, it's Houston Christian. But again, like I said, there's just some stuff that's hard to fake. And I think the offense is one of those as far as the aggressiveness goes. Like, they're not going to just cower down next weekend either.
Stat from Max Olson, writing for, I believe it is still for ESPN. First time Nebraska's won back-to-back games by 50 or more points since 2000. Since 2000. You weren't alive in 2000, were you?
No, I was not. 2002.
I was barely alive in 2000. In 1998, the games for Nebraska would have been a number 1 Nebraska on the road at Texas Tech. Huskers won that one, final score of 56-3. The leaders in that game for Nebraska, if it pulls it up, let's see. Joe Walker had a pick 6 to start the scoring. Eric Crouch, running touchdown, passing touchdown, rushing touchdown. Tech gets on the board with a field goal after halftime. Willie Miller scores. Correll Buckhalter. Darren Diedrich actually scored a touchdown in that game. And Jamal Lord, of course, Darren Diedrich's name came up a few times today as he was a posthumous induction into the Nebraska Football Hall of Fame. His family was there to accept the honor and the recognition on his behalf. In that game, Nebraska ran 77 times for 442 yards. The second game there in that back-to-back 50-point wins against Baylor at home here at Memorial Stadium, a 59-0 win for the Huskers. Scrolling through the leaders in that game. How about this, Rudy? Nebraska did not score in the fourth quarter. They didn't have to because they scored 38 points in the first quarter. Keo Craver, block punt return. Dan Alexander, a couple runs. Josh Brown, field goal. Eric Crouch, touchdown run. Correll Buckhalter, touchdown run. 38-0 Nebraska after one quarter against a fellow Big 12 team back in 2000.
Yeah, that's what we put up in a half today, which I thought, I mean, obviously that's impressive no matter what, but I have no idea what I'd feel like if I'm on the opposing end of that. And it's like, oh yeah, the first quarter's over. Let's get ready. You're already down by 40 points almost. That's got to be so demoralizing. That
2000 Nebraska team was ranked number 1 all the way through October, except number 1 Nebraska went to number 3 Oklahoma, lost that game 31-14. Responded with a big win at home over Kansas before a tight 1-point road loss to number 16 Kansas State. That drops Nebraska down to number 9. They beat unranked Colorado by just a couple points here in Lincoln before steamrolling number 18 Northwestern. That's right, Northwestern was good before Pat Fitzgerald took over as well, at least for a little bit. 66-17 in the Alamo Bowl for Nebraska in that game. Back on this defensive performance, though, for Nebraska, Rudy, bunch of guys got a bunch of playing time when you look at especially the twos. Leading tacklers for Nebraska, Rex Guthrie leads the way with 6, including half a tackle for a loss. You have a Jameer Khan at 4 tackles in place of Malcolm Hartzog. Dawson Merritt, 4 tackles. Jeremiah Charles, 3 of them. Caleb Benning, 3 of them. Michael Booker had 3 tackles as well. What did you make of the performance, especially after halftime, of the Nebraska defense's subs?
Yeah, I think it goes back to like that, the standard being the standard. Yeah, you gave up a touchdown, sure, but at the end of the day, like nothing really seemed to change. Even when Houston Christian tried to make their own change and put in the backup quarterback, first play of his possession wasn't his fault, but boom, we got a fumble in the end on the red zone there too. It's like you're kind of just seeing just this depth that kind of isn't the issue, but it was something that I was like, okay, like yeah, we have a good starting rotation on both sides, but what's going to happen after that? And I think these games kind of show that too, where it's like you expect to get these younger guys in there, and nothing is changing. Like the standard's still the standard, like they've been saying all season. And I think that's something that's going to be weighing heavy, especially moving forward through the year. It's going to make Rule's job harder in a good way as far as who should be playing. I'm sure sometime down the road, but if not, you at least have so much talent on this roster that to be a playoff team, that's what it comes down to. Who's going to be able to step up down the road? And I think right now, yes, again, Houston Christian, but again, it's super hard to fake being a good defensive player in this football league right now.
Most of Houston Christian's damage, if you want to call it that, came in the third quarter. They had 9 rushes for 69 yards. Again, 45 of that 69 yards came on one play, 3 pass completions for 17 yards, or 3 attempts for 17 yards, 2 completions. 86 of the 160 total yards for the Huskies came there in that third quarter, and a quarter on that 1 touchdown run. That's the only quarter in which Houston Christian averaged more than 2.5 yards per play. They were 1.4 yards per play in the first, 2.1 in the second, 7.2 in the third, and 1.7 in the fourth. Rudy, it looked like the shutout was going to be broken a little bit earlier for Nebraska. Houston Christian started putting together a drive at the end of the first half, but then it's I think the 2-minute warning happened pretty early in that drive, and I wrote it down here. Let me pull my notes up officially so I get it right. Yeah, false start, fumble, sack. Takes them out of field goal range. They end up having to punt, and that leads to Nebraska's drive that goes nowhere at the end of the first half. One of those things that at the end of the half, Nebraska can get away with it against Akron when they miss a field goal, and against Houston Christian that looked like they were a little shook, little rattled on top of being outmatched early on. That's something that with the starters in the game, you give Michigan a chance to close the half like that, Wolverines are in much better position to take advantage.
Yeah, I didn't see a sense of panic or anything there, but you definitely saw the timeout Rule called was for something like that. Like, let's slow down. They are making momentum and gaining yardage down the field, but let's slow down. Let's take care of it. And that is something that not worries me, but that's something that, like you're saying, a team like Michigan with Bryce Underwood, who had a great game today, albeit against Central Michigan, but like that's something that those guys don't just let happen. Like they're not going to make those mistakes. Like regardless of the environment the Memorial Stadium provides, and don't get me wrong, it is like one of the best in the country for a reason. It's one of those things that these guys are trained for that. They're prepped for that. You're not a Michigan football player for no reason. So I could see that that's something they got to nip in the bud right now. It's something that should be an emphasis on the week as it goes on. You're going to get better talent in here next Saturday, but like you're saying, that can't happen next week. Those guys aren't going to be able to just, we messed up. Yeah, y'all get the ball back. Like they'll make you pay for your mistakes, as we've seen.
We will keep talking about that. We'll look ahead to Michigan, break down their win over Central Michigan, give you a little bit of a scoreboard update and a recruiting update. Nebraska secures a commitment official as of just about 10 minutes ago. We'll tell you about that. Wrap up the after party right after this on 93.7 The Ticket.
At Jimmy John's, we don't make sandwiches. We make the sandwich of sandwiches. We use fresh veggies because we don't hate salads. We just feel bad for them. We make our sandwiches exactly how you want because you're the one who's eating it. And we bake bread all day, every day, because stale bread isn't bread. It's croutons. Sandwich history is written by the victors. Good thing we have legible handwriting. Jimmy John's, the sandwich of sandwiches. Order pickup or delivery on the app.
Anderson Ford in Lincoln has 2 convenient locations, which means 2 times the customer service, 2 times the inventory, and 2 times the ability to get you in the car of your dreams. Whether you visit us on the north side or the south side, you'll find more selection and a team that's always on your side. When you're looking for a better way to buy your next Ford, visit Anderson Ford in Lincoln, where exceptional service meets unbeatable selection.
No cravings, no hunger pains, no struggle. Thanks to GLP-1s from Limitless Mail, weight loss is possible. Picture this. Your clothes fit better, your energy's up, your doctor's impressed, and your friends start noticing. Limitless Mail's GLP-1 program is medically monitored and changing men's lives. There's no better time than now to get on board. Lose the weight, better your health, gain your confidence without being hungry. Free consult at limitlessmail.com.
I can't believe I just scratched that car. Find my insurance card.
Dude, what do you have in this glove box? Ew, are these socks dirty?
Oh, forget about the socks. I need my insurance card.
Just pull it up on the State Farm mobile app.
But I can do that? Oh, hey, I can do that.
Yep, it's called service.
I can file a claim on here too?
Yeah, it's called service.
Whoa, I can call my agent too?
It's called service.
Call your local State Farm agent, Vinny Krikak, today at 402-474-1173.
Hey there, this is Paul Scheel, owner of High Electric. I want to thank our friends and loyal customers and introduce High Electric to those looking for a new electrician. We've been serving the Lincoln and Omaha area for over 30 years, from design to install, upgrades, and repair. If you are a homeowner or a small business needing some electrical work, call us at 402-466-6606 or check us out at hyelectric.com. We look forward to hearing from you.
93.7 The Ticket is your home for every Kansas City Royals baseball game. Bobby Witt Jr., Salvador Perez, Vinny Pasquantino, and the rest of the Royals attempt to make the postseason for the second season in a row. And you can hear all the action on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Your home for Kansas City Royals baseball.
Okay, friends, if you haven't seen the new TV and audio experiences at Schaefer's, you are seriously missing out. They just got a glow up, and it's a whole vibe. We're talking custom frame TVs, invisible speakers, and plenty of giant TV options. And there may or may not be cold brew on tap in the kegerator. Whether you're designing a man cave, a lady lounge, or just a really good movie night, this is a great place to start. Come check out the new showrooms only at Schaefer's, local, trusted, and cooler than ever.
Have you been injured in an accident and don't know where to turn? Do you need a lawyer you can trust to handle your case with professionalism and compassion? The attorneys at Liberty Law understand that a call to an attorney is a call for help. If you've been injured, we want to help you. Liberty Law's experienced attorneys are committed to the pursuit of justice for those injured. Contact us for a free consultation by calling 877-42-LIBERTY. Call Liberty Law and find out how we can help get you the compensation you deserve. Call 877-42-LIBERTY. Liberty Law Group. Trial attorneys you can trust.
Stonebrook Exterior is your trusted partner in exterior solutions for both residential and commercial projects across Lincoln and Omaha. With over 2 decades of expertise, they deliver everything your building needs, all under one roof. From roofing and siding to gutters, wall systems, custom masonry, and metalwork, Stonebrook handles it all with precision, safety, and professionalism. Take the worry out of your exterior projects. Choose Stonebrook Exterior, where quality, safety, and service come together seamlessly. Visit stonebrookexterior.com or call 402-438-5559 to get your free quote today.
Welcome back to the Husker After Party Postgame Show. The Husker After Party Postgame Show is brought to you by Anderson Ford, Baumgars, and Vinny Krikak of State Farm Insurance on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
That's right. Welcome in one final time to the Husker Football After Party Post-Game Show, 93.7 Ticket, ticketfm.com. Austin Norman, Rudy Grace with you for another 10 minutes or so. Hope you're able to enjoy the rest of your day watching football in peace this weekend as well. Best of luck to your NFL team, unless, of course, you are a Broncos fan. So I can leave you with those words. Some news out of Nebraska in recruiting. But first, we got to tell you about our friends at Baumgars. This fall, Baumgars has everything you need to get your farm ready for the season and tools for your fall projects to get ready before winter. Get ready with Baumgars throughout Nebraska and in Lincoln at 56th and Cornhusker Highway. Nebraska is on the board again in the 2027 recruiting class. In-state offensive tackle Matt Erickson commits to Nebraska about 15 minutes ago. He posted on Twitter. He was in town for the game today. Got a picture of him with Coach Donovan Raiola and head coach Matt Rule rocking his Bud Crawford shirt, as most of the team was before the game. When you look at Matt Erickson, that is a big, big dude. Number 1 offensive lineman in the state of Nebraska, according to most recruiting services. listed at 6'8", 280 pounds, playing for a proud Millard North program. Has not seen the ball bounce its way over the last couple of weeks, but Nebraska on the board again in 2027 with another in-state guy, this time on the offensive line. Matt Erickson joins Torrey Pittman, the borderline five-star safety out of Omaha Central, and of course, quarterback commit Trey Taylor's been committed to the Huskers since early May of this year. Good news on top of good news for Nebraska there, Rudy. I think first and foremost, another in-state player and offensive lineman where Nebraska really seems to want to be building its core.
Yeah, I think that's definitely something that's going to be like that. It's a future piece right there. I'm sure they're going to be expecting big things of him when he gets here on campus anyways, but at the end of the day, like you're saying, that is a huge dude they're bringing in here. He's, what'd you say, 6'8", 280. Like that's no matter like and that's without the elite strength training here. That's without all the things that he will be getting as a Husker athlete when he does get on campus. So like that's one of those players you already know is going to be there's high hopes on him for a reason. So I think that's a huge pickup, especially like that. You're trying to build this line, whether that is for Raiola or whenever he steps on the field, whoever's the next quarterback up. Like that's if you don't have a line, you have nothing in football. And I think that's a great way that they're looking at it. I think going after these guys, especially in state, which is something that I know the Huskers get a lot of flack for on some of the in-state guys they don't go after or don't pick up, but that was a huge pickup for them for sure.
Matt Erickson in the fold for Nebraska. Let's go through some games in progress and some scores for you. We will start in the Big Ten Conference. Keep your eyes a little more local first and foremost. Early third quarter, Penn State leads Villanova 24-0. USC and Purdue currently in a rain delay at Ross-Ade Stadium. Rutgers is up 32-3 over Norfolk State. Michigan State starting to pull away from Youngstown State 24-10. Oregon beats Northwestern 34-14 at Not Ryan Field. Wisconsin goes down pretty hard to Alabama 38-14. Crimson Tide led that one 21-0 at the half. Maryland beats Towson 44-17. Yesterday, it was Indiana taking down Indiana State 73-0, and New Mexico beating UCLA 35-10. Maybe, though, Rudy, the result that more Husker fans had their eye on, just out of curiosity, how would Michigan look in response to their Game 2 loss on the road to Oklahoma? Well, turns out Michigan looked pretty good. Bryce Underwood goes 16-25 through the air for 235 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. He was also the Wolverines' leading rusher on the day. 9 carries, 114 yards, and 2 touchdowns. On the day, Michigan runs for 8 touchdowns. 2 from Underwood, 2 from Jordan Marshall, 1 from Justice Haynes, who went for 104 yards on 14 carries. Jasper Parker, Bryson Kuzdal, and Andrew Marsh, a highly touted receiver, also adds a rushing touchdown. Central Michigan gets only a field goal in the second quarter. Michigan looks good. They look focused. You see some of the vision, I think, for what Michigan wants to turn into on display here today. Again, same kind of caveat applies in terms of the competition, but Michigan showed out in a big way like they hadn't yet this year, Rudy.
Yeah, I agree, especially with the whole Bryce Underwood narrative that he was getting. I know a lot of people throughout the week on Twitter, they were questioning even his ability to leave the pocket and try to scramble was a big question on Twitter. He was getting a lot of flack for that, and for him to come out Saturday and be the number 1 rusher on the team is insane. But I think now we're starting to see like, okay, like he's getting more comfortable. He just turned 18 a couple weeks ago, I think. Like he is someone that you got to give him that grace, whether you want to or not. But he's going out there, he's balling out now. He needs to get his footing in there for sure. But I think it's going to be a big test for him coming in here next week either way. But I think they're definitely showing that they're better than what the loss was last week. It wasn't a horrible loss by any means, but it's a loss that they have. And I'm that duo of Bryce Underwood and Justice Hayes being able to move that ball running wise is actually something that could be real interesting come next Saturday, honestly.
I think that's going to be on a lot of Husker fans' minds as they look ahead to Nebraska at Michigan. 2:30 kickoff next week from Memorial Stadium. We'll have pregame, I would assume, around 11:30. Could be 11, could be 12. Of course, keep it tuned right here to 93.7 The Ticket. We will tell you for sure when we know. But Rudy, I think that the Bryce Underwood is going to get a lot of the attention, a lot of the conversation, but I don't think Michigan has a reason to do anything but run the ball right at Nebraska until Nebraska proves they can stop it. Yeah. I think it's going to be a big game for Andrew Marshall and for Sierra Wright on the outside. I think Nebraska is going to ask those guys to lock up one-on-one so it can load the box against Michigan, try to hold the Wolverines, under that 4-yard per carry mark, because I think this is a Michigan team that will come to Lincoln obviously confident off a 63-3 win, feeling like they found something. And with everything that Michigan has accomplished and been through in the last couple of years, they're going to take Nebraska seriously, but they have no reason to think that, Nebraska is above them or that they're catching up to Nebraska. I mean, Michigan, I still think has enough of that athletic, competitive arrogance in a healthy way in a lot of ways, and in a Michigan way in a not so healthy way, to still feel very confident and feel like they should be favored in this game. I'm curious to see where the line ends up, but I think Michigan's going to take it to Nebraska physically, or at least attempt to do so, especially in the early going.
Yeah, I agree. Right now, they're out rushing their receiving attempts right now with 64-30. So they're already a run heavy team, as they've been in years past. It's not a surprising factor there, but I agree. Like now, if I'm coming into Nebraska, you want to make sure they can stop your run, and that's definitely their bread and butter. If you can't stop it, they're not going to stop doing it either. And so I think that works. But I think, like we're seeing today now, we saw a better game from Bryce Underwood. So like you're saying, from Husker fans' perspective, that opens the door to like, okay, if we stop the run, now we got to contend this. But right now, their leading receivers are out there with 122 yards and 93, and then it drops down to 74, 52, 30. So it's like those guys aren't getting that ball and doing the yards after reception like we are, in my opinion. And so I'm not worried in the sense that I think we're going to win that game just straight up outright, but it's definitely going to come down to who can adjust better on the fly of what the other team's doing.
Let's take you through a scoreboard here in the last few minutes of the Husker After Party post-game show. In Knoxville, 21-17, Volunteers lead the Bulldogs, Tennessee, over Georgia. Tennessee scored on its first 3 drives of the game, scored in 2.5 minutes to start, scored on a 72-yard pass play after that, and then added one more score in the first quarter. But Georgia shut Tennessee out in the second quarter. It's 21-17 Tennessee right now. Georgia's facing a 3rd and 4 at the Tennessee 32-yard line, first possession of the second half. Take you through some more national scores. North Texas beating up on Washington State 45-3. SMU is up on Missouri State 14-10 just after halftime. Missouri State, fresh to the FBS ranks, actually led that game 10-0 after one quarter. Kevin Jennings, about 2/3 completion for 200+ yards and an interception in the early-ish going in that game. West Virginia leads Pitt 7-3 in the backyard brawl there early in the third quarter. All the scoring done in the second quarter in that one. Mountaineers have a 1st and goal at the Panther 3-yard line, looking to take a 2-possession advantage. North Carolina is up big on Richmond 34-3. Former Nebraska opponent Cincinnati put up 56 points in the first half. They lead Northwestern State 63-0. UTSA leads Incarnate Word 38-7. Iowa State struggling on the road at Arkansas State. Cyclones lead at 17-10 over the Red Wolves at the half. In a weather delay, it's Miami leading South Florida 14-3. Rudy, I'll give you a couple minutes here. Texas, they do score going into the half. It's 14-3 Longhorns over the UTEP Miners. Your reaction to that 11-point lead for your Longhorns here at the break?
Yeah, I'm just going to say we are not a top 7 team in the country right now. I think the way I've been talking about Nebraska, how they got to go in there and handle business against Houston Christian, Akron. Again, I think UTEP's a little better than those two, but Texas should be levels above UTEP by any standard. And going in there 14-3, I think Arch was 4 for 11 last I checked. Could have changed right now in the recent, but that's not what you want to see. You want to see your guy go out there. As much as this is going to pain me to say, you're supposed to see what Arch Manning is supposed to be doing is what Dylan Raiola is doing right now. And that's the end of it. You're the Longhorns quarterback. You are Arch Manning. There is a lot of pressure that comes with you just because of your name, but now it's up to you to live up to that. You've been on the bench waiting for your chance for 2 years behind Quinn Ewers. You have a lot to live up to there, just off your name, but also being a Longhorn, who you were behind. If it needs to turn around soon, if not, it's going to be a narrative going into Florida in a couple of weeks that we're either going to be on Florida's level or we might even lose that game. I'm real skeptical of my guys. I want to believe in them, but it's hard right now.
You said he was 4 of 11 at one point?
Yeah.
5 of 16.
Yeah, that's
going into the break. That's almost an acceptable batting average.
Yeah.
Almost. 5 out of 16 for 69 yards and an interception. Malachi Nelson, also 16 attempts. He's completed 12 for 99 yards and an interception as well. That'll do it for us here on the Husker After Party post-game show and the Jay Foreman post-game show, of course. Big thanks again to all 3 of the wonderful sponsors making this possible. Anderson Ford of Lincoln, Vinny Kreekak of State Farm Insurance, as well as Baumgars. That'll do it for us. For Jay, for Nick, for Rudy, this is Austin Orman signing off. Enjoy the rest of your football watching afternoon and your weekend. You got the full regular Sunday lineup of ticket weekends coming your way tomorrow, beginning bright and early or dark and early at 7 a.m. For the crew, I'm Austin. Have a great rest of your weekend. We'll talk to you soon.